Sacred Symbols, a PlayStation podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support our show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to Sacred Symbols, a PlayStation podcast. This is episode number 361. My name is Colin Moriarty. I'm joined as always, by my son, the Starbucks drinking Chris Raygun. Whoa, Chris, how are you today? You look great. You have layers on. I love layers.
Yeah, I'm a layer fan. You know, yeah. I think that's like you have to be if you're from like a cold place. I think in some sense, like I remember when I first got out here, I was like, I don't know how to dress for like really warm weather, actually, because I just have a bunch of band tees or video game tees, and that's it, really. Like I'm more comfortable in like an overshirt and a jacket or something, but. Yeah, no, we're starting a little bit late today, so like I had some time to walk around, you know, go for a walk, see what's going on in the neighborhood. I saw and this is not a joke, I saw a Cybertruck with a swastika on it and a broken window. So like things are going great. Wow.
Excellent.
I should have took a picture of it. I don't know why I didn't. Maybe it'll still be there. I'll take a picture of it later and send it to you guys. It's really funny. But yeah, I don't know. It's a good day. It's a good day to dress well. It's actually chilly out here right now. It's like 60s-ish, cloudy. So there's no sun, which makes it, you know.
June gloom.
Yeah, June gloom.
I was just explaining that to Micah recently, because that's not a thing out here, you know.
Oh, really?
That's June gloom is more of like a California phenomenon in my experience.
That makes sense.
She never even heard that term. And I'm like, yeah, I don't really know when I learned that term. Probably when I lived out there. There's a Cybertruck in my neighborhood that's lime green.
Oh,
can't miss it.
Yeah,
when it's driving by, it is lime green. Must be a wrap of some sort, but
that's really ostentatious. I think, you know, that's quite the color to choose.
Yeah, it's funny, man. In more liberal areas, I'm sure that there's more problems with Tesla or whatever, but so many people drive Teslas in my area. It's like crazy how many Teslas. Like every other fucking house, some of them have two of them like plugged in and shit like that. I'm like, man, people love their Tesla. And like you said, we are starting late today. I appreciate that. You guys did me a huge solid. We're starting an hour later than usual because I woke up today and I was like, dude, I am so fucking tired. I like just need like another hour of sleep. And it was exactly what I needed. Exactly what the doctor ordered. So I really appreciate you guys because it shouldn't be that long an episode, I don't think. Now I say that, see what happens, but we'll be okay. Dustin Furman, executive producer, fresh back from Ohio. And looking a little tan, perhaps?
I was trying to tell if I got a sunburn or, well, I don't know, maybe a little. It was overcast all day, but I know you can still get.
Oh, yeah, you still get fucked up.
You still get a little bit. But yes, I was in Ohio yesterday, unfortunately, behind enemy lines. But I was at Cedar Point all day. And it was a great day at the park because overcast. And dude, Wednesday in May, great time to go. Holly and I got 16 rides in, which is insane based on normally Cedar Point, like rides are 2-hour wait times sometimes. But let me tell you, boys, 16 rides sounds like a good thing. These rides can jostle you around quite a bit.
Yeah.
I feel like shit today.
Yeah.
Like I just feel absolutely terrible.
Did you go on the Did you go on the Mantis? Does that still exist there?
Well, sort of. It's no longer called the Mantis, and it's no longer a standing coaster.
Oh, that was my first standing coaster ever.
It's called Rougarou now, and it's a floorless coaster. It was the last thing I rode. It fucking sucked.
Wow.
Because it's got these over-the-head restraints, and your head, like mine, it just bobbles left and right. And my ears, like, dude, it fucked up my ears bad. So,
did you feel my essence in the park when you go to Cedar Point? You're like, Colin was here 25 years ago.
I did think about that at one point.
Yeah.
I was thinking like, oh yeah, I remember Colin was here.
It was just so funny because when I went in high school, I didn't know how big of a deal it was. And it was the internet era, but it was the dial-up era. People were, me and my friend, as I've said many times, my friend Bryce, his dad was like mega rich. He used to bring us on trips every summer. He was really sweet. They were a really sweet family, very nice family, or a nice family. And that was one of the places we drove. So we drove all the way through Pennsylvania. That was the first time I ever had Scrapple, for instance.
Oh,
which is a Western Pennsylvania, Central Pennsylvania delicacy, in quotes. And then we went to Ohio and went to Cedar Point. And It's funny. I looked at your tweet and I thought you said some names of coasters. And I'm like, I remember like Millennium Force. Is that one of them?
That was built in 2000.
Yeah. So I went on that. That must have been the year I went. Because I was saying to Micah, I'm like, it was either 99, 2000 or 2001 summer. Summer 2001, a little ominous.
A little bit. Certainly.
So let's say the summer of 2000.
Right.
Yeah, great. I haven't been on a roller coaster in 20 years probably at this point. And I loved them when I was a kid. I think I said my friend Bryce had a book, like an actual printed book, and we would check them off as we went around the country to go on. Like we just went to a few Hershey Park, and what is the one there's one in Jersey that has like one, like we would go to like these places where they had like one coaster just to go and check it off the box.
I think New Jersey, that might be a Six Flags.
No, there is a Six Flags in Jersey, but it was something else. And it was Steel Force might have been the name of the
Steel Force
of the roller coaster. And then Great Bear is the roller coaster at Hershey. I remember that.
Yes, that's still there. I rode that 2 summers ago. A little rough. But yeah, it was a good.
Do they have any wooden coasters left at Cedar Point?
Yes, they have the Blue Streak, which I rode, and it was fucking.
Oh, and Mean Streak.
Mean Streak modified.
Oh, okay.
Now. It is now Steel Vengeance.
How do I remember all this? It's so fucking crazy.
That is crazy. I don't remember the name of a single roller coaster that I've ever been on. I always think it's just like, that's a roller coaster. I want to go on it.
What else was there? Raptor was another one.
Raptor's still there. I've retired from Raptor after last summer. I felt like I was in a car wreck after I was on it.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I thought, no more.
That sounds so...
Can't do it.
That sounds so appealing to
See,
me.
this was pre-pot, Colin. So all the memories have been constituted and are still there to grab from. It's why I know the NES catalog so well.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, I see.
But couldn't tell you what I played 3 days ago.
I will tell you, so the first ride was Millennium Force because we got in early access because I asked nicely, which was kind of crazy.
Wow.
Got on, and dude, it felt like imagine if it was rain hitting your face, like these little tiny and the ride stops, and Holly and I look at each other, and there's like little tiny black dots, and there's just bugs smashed all over our face.
Ohio bugs.
So that was fun.
Did you go to Hitler's bunker on the way or to or fro?
Hitler's bunker.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
that's a deeper cut.
What is it called?
Deli on the green, deli on the circle.
Deli on the circle.
I'm sure they appreciate this rebrand that you've given them.
This rebrand, Hitler's bunker.
I don't even remember why I started calling it. Oh, because I was like, it's like a place that they destroyed like everywhere Hitler ever was because they don't want anyone to like neo-Nazis to worship him or whatever. And I'm like, well, we have our own little Hitler's bunker for sacred symbols, and it's a place that serves a sandwich named after our podcast in Ohio.
Yeah. Did not stop there, but go ahead, Chris.
No, I said that I forgot about that, and just being reminded of that is crazy that we have a sandwich.
We have a sandwich. That's right. I did stop. So there's been a big conversation because Brad recently went to Culver's when he was in Tennessee, and apparently he got chicken tenders, and everyone yelled at him because like, why would you get chicken tenders?
Yeah, you get burgers, right?
I went to Culver's last night, first time ever, and I got their burger, which is it's like a butter burger. And we were talking about this on Summon Side. I'm like, that sounds like a little too on the nose. Like, I don't
too
know.
Too rich for your taste. So what do? They put a little thing of butter on it when they're cooking it or something?
I have no idea what they do. But I ate it. It was delicious.
On the bun, perhaps?
It's probably on the bun.
Yeah.
But maybe cooked in a little butter too. It was very good.
You could cook anything in butter. You could cook fried shit in butter, and I'd probably eat it. Just a lot of butter. I go through so much butter, it's not even funny.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, good day at the park. I got this new mug for
hey, oh, cool. That's pretty cool. So it's like all the silhouettes of the various. Yeah. That's nice.
I thought this was classy. So I got that. I had one interesting experience. I was almost in a situation, but not quite. We're going to ride Gemini, which would have been there.
Gemini, Colin. That's a dual coaster.
It's a dual coaster.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Okay, cool.
And it's a wooden coaster, but it's got steel track. And so we got on it, and we're going in the first area, and I turned to Holly, and I was like, oh, it's pretty smooth. And then we ride the ride. It's fun. It's okay. And we get off. And Holly looks visibly mad. I'm like, what's going on?
Mm.
It's like, didn't you hear those guys behind us make fun of you? It's like, no. She's like, yeah, those guys, you said it was smooth. And they're like, and they apparently were like, yeah, fucking, this isn't smooth. The only thing smooth is your fucking brain. I was like, whoa.
Wow. Hardcore.
And these guys were pretty aggro towards me, but I had no idea.
Yeah, that's the best way to be.
I was totally oblivious. But I thought, what if I heard those guys, what was I going to do while I'm riding the Gemini at Cedar Point?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, Holly did kind of, I mean, she was like, the reason they probably thought it wasn't smooth is because these were some big boys on the train. And they were probably like really locked in there. So maybe they played themselves. Don't call me smooth brain.
It's not nice. It's not a nice thing to do.
So, but yeah, I'm, oh, good.
I was just gonna say smooth brain is such an interesting insult just because I admit it wasn't until I was really an adult, like deep into my adulthood, that I even really understood what the insult was, you know? And it's that your brain folds evolutionarily to make more room, like more surface area.
Right.
And that's why and I was like, I didn't even know that really. Like, I just thought that's the way the brain looked.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until I was probably in my 20s where I'm like, oh, smooth brain. Like, I'm so stupid. My brain doesn't have folds in it. It doesn't have extra gray matter territory. Okay.
Right.
I got you.
Yeah, that's a more modern insult. I feel like nobody in the 90s was saying smooth brain, or even the 2000s. So that's like a late, like 20, that's like 2016 onwards, I think.
Yeah, sure.
Probably.
It feels like an insult, like someone said on Rick and Morty.
That's what I was going to say. That's so funny.
And we're like, oh, smooth brain. That's like a smart insult.
I was going to say that because I've only seen a few episodes of that show. I thought it was really funny, actually. But I never really got into it or whatever. Yeah. And I was actually at a friend's house in Boston visiting him during PAX in 2016. And he showed it to me for the first time. I was like, oh, this is actually really funny. And that was literally the only time I had ever seen it. But when I heard the insult, I was like, yeah, Rick and Morty. But then what I was afraid of is someone would be like, you don't know fucking, why would they say that on Rick and Morty, you fucking retard? You know, so I just kept it to myself.
The notorious aggro Rick and Morty fandom is
that's,
you know, they're not to be trifled with.
Yeah,
these days I don't know. Yeah. It's kind of fallen off. I do think I mean, I don't know, that show's probably still funny. Like, I just haven't kept up with it. But the first two seasons of that show I maintain are like very like that's some really good like adult animation comedy. Like, it's pretty top tier. If it kept on that trajectory for a while, like it would have been probably like one of my favorites ever. But like, I don't know. That third season,
I just didn't realize what it was even about until it was my friend Pablo, who I lived with in college. Actually, when I got my job offer in California, I lived with him. And my dad always likes to bring up the story that, I've told you guys this, certainly this has come up, that I lived in an apartment my senior year in college. And then like after college until I moved to California in July, and it was like a few guys, and then it was me, and I didn't have a room. I basically just had there was like a staircase little indent that's not even from our apartment, and I just kind of lived under it on the ground.
You had like a Harry Potter
kind of exactly. Mm-hmm. But the thing was, the reason that I agreed to do this was, first of all, they were charging me $200 a month.
Oh, well,
which was fucking hysterical. I mean, even me, poor as fuck, could afford that. And one of them was gone, he was, I don't know, he was abroad at his education or something. I don't know, but he was like not there. And so I used to just sleep in his room. Yeah. And it was great. It was, or on the couch. No one was ever there, I guess is what I'm saying. I used to just have a great time at that place. But my dad loves to make fun of me for that. He's like, you remember when you lived in that place and you lived at you didn't have a bed? I'm like, yeah, Dad, thanks. Thanks for all the help.
Sacred Symbols is sponsored by Cash App. Working online, I've spent a lot of time sending and receiving money through various apps, but always dealt with headaches. I can't stand when I'm hit with the fees to move my own money around, and then when you suck it up and finally pay the fee, there's a processing delay. It's not a great experience. All that changed when I started using Cash App. Cash App is a safe, easy, and fast way to send, receive, and transfer money to friends and family. To get started, all you need is your phone number or an email and some basic info. With Cash App, money shows up right away, without days of delays. Most importantly, though, it's secure and safe. Cash App will even warn you if you're about to send money to a questionable account that could be a scam. For a limited time only, new Cash App users can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash. For real, there's no catch. Just download Cash App and sign up. Use our exclusive referral code SACRED in your profile. Send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App.
All right. Guys, I thought it would be fun to go over my blood tests for my doctor's appointment together. According to the blood tests that I had conducted on, what was this? Like the 21st, I guess. Everything's good. Hemoglobin A1C. This is what I'm really concerned about. As I've discussed, we have no history of diabetes in my family. My uncle is diabetic, but he's not blood related to us. My uncle Mike, that always comes up. And then Dagan got diabetes. Like, we were like, what? And it was like totally shocking to everyone. And he's kind of in denial about it. I think he's kind of like one of those borderline people that I think is like trying to, because some people claim you can beat it. Like you can actually like get rid of it. And I believe that if you're probably mega disciplined and not that far gone. And I don't think he is. But it was really surprising. And it was because he eats like, he was just not taking care of himself. And ever since then, I was like, oh no. Because Dagan and I are two peas in a fucking pod with the way we eat. And I'm definitely in better shape than Dagan. But so I've been like obsessively checking my blood sugar every 6 months. And it's nowhere near being it. And so the values, pre-diabetes is 5.7 to 6.4 and diabetes is 6.4 and over, whatever metric it is. I'm at 4.7. This is actually considered low. If anything, I have the exact opposite problem. Not enough
anti-diabetes?
I have anti-diabetes.
Wow.
Let's see what else is in here that's interesting. Okay, so lipid panel. My cholesterol's still high, but it's getting back. So the values are 100 to 199. That's good. Mm-hmm. I'm at 213. However, my HDL cholesterol, which I think is the quote unquote good cholesterol, is low at 37. It should be 39 or more. But the doctor doesn't recommend that I do anything. Last time I was recommended to increase physical activity and even potentially take a statin, which I was like, I'm not doing that. I did lower my cholesterol 15 points just by eating less mayonnaise and cheese. But I think we're okay otherwise, guys. I haven't done my urine test yet because I went to the place, it was like this one-stop shop. So it's like, oh yeah, as everyone knows, I fast. So I'm able to take a blood test like any fucking time, basically. Because usually when people go, they're like, oh, did you eat breakfast or did you eat lunch? It's like, yeah, right. You have to come back after 8 hours. And I'm always ready to go. And they're always thrilled. The doctor's like, oh, we can get this going right now. I'm like, yeah, I haven't eaten in like fucking 14 hours. We're good to go. I go in and the lady takes the blood test, which is great. Are you guys squeamish with blood tests? I really don't mind them at all.
No.
I think I have good veins because it almost doesn't even hurt.
I don't like them at all. I don't like. It's really, I think that I feel like a Capri Sun almost, like when they jab the needle.
yeah, sure.
Like, and I don't like. Sure. It's hard. I don't like looking at it, but it's hard not to because like I'm so anxious. I have anxiety about the doctor in general. Like I really don't like the experience of the doctor's office or like the dentist. I mean, who likes the dentist, I guess. But like there's just I don't like them poking into me and taking my blood. I feel too much like an item, if that makes sense. It's just like, all right, let's extract some juice out of this guy. And it's just like I don't like this.
I gotta say, I like looking at it when it's like going into the vial because I'm like, Jesus Christ! Like,
I fucking hate it.
It's just so. And then they do the old switcheroo where they like put another vial in while it's still going. And I don't. The dentist I do like just because I feel like I'm buying time every time I go. I'm very persnickety about. I brush my teeth 3 times a day and do a floss and do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but like you always hear horror stories of dental issues, and I think that no matter how well you take care or good you take care of your teeth, you will run into them. I have, like a bite gets wrong or tooth gets cracked or like my 2 front teeth got knocked out multiple times when I was a hockey player as a kid.
Ooh,
they're fake.
What?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Like I chipped. It wasn't like I got punched in the face. Like I chipped my teeth badly multiple times when I was a kid in playing hockey. Wow. And the funny thing about that, my mom will remember this. She listens to the show sometimes. She'll probably hear this is that I never wanted to get them fixed because I wanted to look like a hockey player. And my mom, I'm like 5th grade or something like that. My mom, and my mom's like, you got to get your fucking teeth thick. Like, we got to go do it. I'm like, I don't want to do it after the season, like a real hockey player or something. She's like, you look like an idiot. You look like a fucking homeless person.
That's awesome.
I
don't know, man. Like there's just, I'm not going to like faint at the doctor's office if I'm going to get like blood drawn or whatever, but it's like, it's not so much pain so much as it is like just discomfort, like intense discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really hate it.
Yeah, I don't like being. Here's the thing. I was explaining this to Micah. I don't know if you guys probably can't identify since you don't like the experience, but it's like, and I want to knock on wood, but I feel like I've been blessed with good dentists like my whole life. Like dentists that were good, nice people. It was a decent experience. Like I never had like a horror story of this fucking asshole that like did a bad job or whatever. I just never. So I had a great dentist in San Francisco I really liked, and I have a good dentist here that I really like, and to me, it's very similar going to the doctor where it's just like, just give me like a clean bill of health and give me like some time to not worry. And then I'll come back and then we'll do it all over again. And so every time I go to the dentist, I'm like, is this the time I'm going to have a cavity? Is this the time they're going to tell me this is wrong? Or I got, that's wrong. But, so far, so good. So that's the reason I like it, because I'm such a worrier. It removes off the docket something I need to think about.
That's so funny because like, I think I'm the same, but I think I get the opposite feeling. Where like I feel like, oh, I don't know anything that's wrong with me. I must be fine.
Right.
Like if I go and then what if I go and then I learn something? And that freaks me out more than anything. Because I almost feel like there's like it's like a mind over matter type thing. It's like if there's anything wrong with me, if it's better that I don't know, which is objectively stupid. Right. Absolutely go to the doctor.
Ignorance is bliss, but I get it. I get it.
I don't. Yeah, it's like you hear those stories about like people who like was it they have cancer and they were like fine, kind of like they were like kind of like sick, but like they were kind of fine until they learned about it, and then they just give up, and then they just die because they give up.
Right. I think catch 22 because you want to like catch things early. It's like what happened with Joe Biden, where it's like it's actually my own grandfather, my mom's dad, died of colon cancer in the 90s, mostly because he was just like, nah, like ignoring his symptoms and doing all that. Don't do that. Yeah, it was very treatable. If you don't do that. I went to college with no names here, but I know someone that this is so funny. I was just saying this to someone recently that didn't want to go get an STD test, but he and a friend, like 2 friends of mine, slept with the same girl, and one of them went and got an STD test, and his STD test was clean. So he's like, all right, I'm good. Love that. Healthcare by proxy.
Yeah.
Appreciate that very much. All right. Let's get into introducing the show. This is Sacred Symbols, a PlayStation podcast. We go live each and every week. You can get us 3 days early and ad free. We've never missed a week since we started in 2018, July 2018. So you can always look forward to a new episode each and every week. If one doesn't happen, I'm probably dead. And even if I'm dead, I don't know that you guys aren't going to publish. It's going to be one of those things where you're going to be like, what would Colin want?
Yeah.
And I think there'll be a reasonable expectation that I would want you to keep going without me. Like, go on without me. Right. And see what you can do.
I think we would publish a thing like, hey, Colin's dead. We're going to figure some things out. We'll be back next week. Because I think Chris and I said that if you died, we would probably rename the show.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. We don't want the ghost of Colin hanging
People
around.
better not like it better than Sacred Symbols.
It would have to be then episode 1 of that new show then.
Yeah, that's rough having to restart, huh?
Yeah.
No, I dream about it sometimes. I think about not you dying specifically. I think about with the Snark Tank. Because I remember talking to Keeks and Derek. It's like, wouldn't it be cool if we just like, let's just like delete every episode that we ever did and just start from episode 1 again and pretend like nothing. Pretend like nothing.
That would be
happened.
A funny April Fool's joke if you could, if your RSS like feed was able to be hidden. Yeah. And you just like, or like hide all the episodes on April 1st and then just have the one and then just dead ass do it as if it's like the first episode. That would be very funny.
I really meant it. I was like, no, like straight up get rid of every single one of them. And then like, if there's none, if people didn't save them, it's like, well, you should have paid attention. Maybe you'll pay attention this time and you'll save some, make some more clips.
Yeah, that's
it's but I don't know. That's the kind of thing that I would absolutely do, but I think I'm voted against it. Like people vote against me on crazy ideas like that.
Yeah, but I can see why. I mean,
I get it. Yeah,
you're not making ephemera either. Like comedy podcasts are not ephemera; that they can be listened to forever.
That is true. We have people that and even with this show, we have people that start from the very beginning. And we get a lot of that from in that show where a lot of people is like, I'm starting from episode 0, and I'm like, good luck. There's like 300 something. We do like 2 a week. It's ridiculous.
It's a lot. Yeah. We have people write in every so often saying like, oh, I started from the beginner. I've gone back and started again on Sacred Symbols. I'm like, really? I feel like this is, after a few weeks, it's like, why even listen to it?
Maybe they listened to the first hour.
Right. Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think there is like an aspect to it that is somewhat similar to the stuff we do over there where we're just talking.
Yeah. That's a good point. Well, we go live each and every week. You can support us on Patreon. Patreon.com/laststandmedia. Like about 13,000 of you do. We really appreciate you. It's like 9,500 of you or something right now. We're at the $5 and up level. That's the sweet spot. That's where you get early ad-free access to every episode of this show. $60 a year basically costs you. Early ad-free access to this show and every show we do in our network. Defining Duke, the Xbox podcast, Summon Sign, the gameplay podcast, Punching Up, the Nintendo podcast, and so on and so forth. And we really appreciate your support over there. Couldn't do without you. Of course, there are other tiers to explore as well. You can also submit your inquiries to the show on the weekly threads in the news feed. You can use the RSS links and the Spotify links, so you don't even have to interact with Patreon. Get access to the Discord. And of course, Sacred Symbols Plus episodes. Shelby Thompson wrote in. Says, hey, CDC. I wanted to thank you for all the hard work you guys do every week. My boyfriend and I are huge fans of the show. We listen every week and spend the rest of... Oh, wait, Chris clicked on something and it put the little window over it. Hold on a sec.
No, sorry.
There. Oh, it's we're on Google Docs, so when people click around, sometimes it blocks like what I'm reading.
Oh, sorry.
My boyfriend and I are huge fans of the show. We listen every week and spend the rest of our time deep in games talk. We recently both finished our own playthrough of Clair Obscur, and let me tell you, as the one to reach Act 2 first, it took everything I had to make sure I didn't give anything away. We're about to take a 6-hour drive to Montreal, and you bet your asses that we already have the spoiler cast for Clair Obscur ready. Nothing says romance more than yelling enthusiastically about our new favorite game for hours in a metal box traveling 30 miles over the speed limit. Sebastian is driving. I guess that's her boyfriend. Thanks again for making such a great show. It's become a special part of our week and our relationship. That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yes, the Expedition 33 spoiler cast has finally gone live. We are going to do a second one as we promised, because there's so many. It's one of the rare games where there's so many people that want to talk about it that we actually have too many people. And we actually have eight people, I think, which is, I don't know that we've ever really had that many people interested in the game. So it's a great sign for the game. So the first one went live. A lot of people upset at Hogue. I'll tell you that. But we'll go again. I'm not going to listen to it because I want to just go in fresh and just, do my own thing. So,
of course.
Yeah, we're going to do that, I guess. I'll be ready actually soon. I could beat it tonight. But we'll have that out in a few weeks. But glad that everyone was able to listen to the Expedition 33 spoiler cast that we have live now. We've done all 7 of our episodes for The Last of Us Part 2 or The Last of Us Season 2 on HBO. So there are 7 episodes only for patrons. Listen to the reviews of all of that if you'd like. Recently had Shuhei Yoshida on, as you guys know. That was a lot of fun. We had Neil Druckmann on, which was a lot of fun. The next episode we've already recorded is the Summer Games Fest, Jeff Keighley's birthday betting special. And it's going to be I think people are really going to enjoy that episode. It's a fun episode. We did, let's see. Yeah, 27 questions. I wrote them all down as we went with Brad. And what are some, should I spoil some of the things here? Like we talk about, will PlayStation Studios, will there be more than 2 or less than 2 games shown from PlayStation Studios? What will Micah score Phil Spencer's outfit?
Yeah.
And so on and so forth.
Will Jeff Keighley say gamer or something?
Gamer.
I think was one of them.
Gamers.
Gamers,
Yeah,
plural, right?
Gamers. Power to the players.
So yeah, Naked Snake in a banana hammock wrote in and said, hey, CDC, with Summer Games Fest looming right around the corner, what are some of your dream announcements and what are some safe bets? Well, you got to listen. Listen to the show, Sacred Symbols Plus. You'll really enjoy it. It was a lot of fun to do that. Shout out to Brad again for setting that up. And of course, Dustin, you're going to be going over there to California to sleep in Brad's bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited to hear what you guys think. I'm happy for you guys because I know you're such good friends, you know?
Yeah. It'll be great. I haven't been to California since I think it was their last E3. So it's been quite a bit since I've been over there. So excited to be hanging out. Be good to see Brad because Brad and I have only been together in person one time in New York City for Sacred 300. So getting to hang out with him, and I'll be able to see Maddie and Cog as well because they will be at the Play Days event. So be a great time all around. And a little tease, we're doing a Summer Game Fest Summon Sign episode where Brad and I have booked all these appointments to see all these games. So we are going to do an in-person Summon Sign.
Ooh.
All about all the games that we got to play or at least see at Summer Game Fest. So look forward to that in the future.
Cool. You're a very gregarious person. I don't think people know that about you.
I don't know what that means.
It means you like being around people. Like you're a social person.
Yeah.
You have friends.
A few. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Like to travel, like hanging out. What's funny is compared to my dad, dude, my dad is the social, like everywhere he goes, he's like, oh, we should talk to this person. I know this guy. I haven't talked to him in 15 years. I'm going to hit him up. Like he needs to be around people constantly.
That's nice.
So
that's nice.
I got a little bit of that from him, but nowhere near the social outgoingness, unfortunately.
Oh,
so I'm very comfortable around people I know, of course.
Right.
But
yeah, it's the events of childhood broke that in me.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm just a loner, like a shinobi wandering the streets of Virginia.
Yeah, I think that's how most people would describe Colin as a shinobi.
Oh, that's good stuff. So yeah, check out Sacred Symbols Plus. We appreciate you over there. Oh yeah, I wanted to read this. Elliot wrote in. I was like, what is this? I forgot putting this in here, but I want to read this. He says, Dear Colin and Sons, the PlayStation podcast, not the Nova Scotia car repair. I don't know what that means.
I'll look that up.
Back in 2023, I guess there must be Colin and Sons?
Colin, I have the Facebook page.
It's in Nova Scotia.
Colin and Sons Car Care.
Wow, I'd never heard that.
It sounds like a nice little family business. We should.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, we should sue.
Yeah, we should sue. Let's see. We'll look into that.
Yeah.
Back in 2023, the plan for Sacred Symbols Plus was to have recurring monthly episodes, Sacred Cross-Defining, the Sacred League, sales analysis, and predictions. The show is now focused on interviews with guests, podcasts with Hogue and Jaffe, and reviews and spoilercasts of games, TV, and movies. I'm not a fan of interview podcasts, so I tend to delete those from my feed. And while the spoilercasts are great content, it can be weeks or months before I can enjoy them as I wait to finish the game, as you should. Is there any plan to return to the previous ongoing recurring structure? It would be great if the interviews were supplements to Plus, where we could then expect a weekly Sacred Symbols Plus app focused on creating lists, Duke Cross Sacred, the monthly sales and review predictions, etc. I don't mean to complain. I know Colin loves these interviews and having long podcasts with Jaffe, but it's not content I enjoy, and I miss the old structure. Ideally, spoilercast behind a Summon Sign Plus, interviews to a bonus Sacred Symbols Plus, and having the standard Sacred Symbols Plus to be an ongoing, consistent rotation of shows. Colin, I miss and love the quarterly financial deep dives. Thank you for the hours of content every week. I will fade peacefully in my sleep as my cat slowly eats my rotting flesh. And listen. Thank you for that, Elliot. Yeah, we know, as I've said before, I've said maybe a month or so ago, I met with everyone individually in the company. And I asked them the same questions, which was like, and I prefaced it all, as these guys will know, and everyone in the company will know, as I was saying, like, I understand everyone has a different level of, like, everyone's loyal to me. We do this and people are, we're friends, and it's like we have a social relationship and we have a financial relationship. And it's like, just throw that all aside. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about what it means for the company. Like, what do you want? Right? Like, what do you want to do? Are you happy with the status quo? Do you want to do more? Should we do less? Do we reschedule and rework things? Like, we had really interesting conversations. I had it with Chris. I had it with Dustin. I had it with everybody. And I took a shit ton of notes, obviously, during that. And we came to like some conclusions about things that we want to do differently and things we want to kind of add and streamline and so on and so forth. And I think we're still kind of figuring, at least I am figuring out exactly the way this looks. But I agree that Sacred Plus if we're going to do Sacred Plus every week, it is rough when it's like a spoiler cast or a review discussion 3 weeks in a row, because it does alienate people from listening to it. I will say that like the interviews and that we've been doing do way well than the mean episode of Sacred Plus, and that some of the Sacred Plus episodes that I like doing the most, like Sacred Sales Saga, like was not popular at all. So I'm trying to do new ideas and I want to figure out like where things fit, but I kind of basically like, I think that the review discussions and spoilercast actually should be on Summon Sign, but I don't know. But then you alienate Summon Sign audience members from a weekly episode. And then when the games start really coming out, you can assume that half or more of them would be. So then it's like, should we do an agnostic series of spoilercast and review discussions? This would open up Nintendo and Xbox better. Because it's weird that we didn't do an Indiana Jones one. Some people have said like, it's weird that you guys didn't cover like South of Midnight. Or I'm like, I don't give a fuck. No one played South of Midnight. But it is weird that we wouldn't have a place for an Indiana Jones review discussion. We don't have a place for a Mario Kart, whatever the fuck it is, review discussion. So I'm thinking about these things. And I don't know what the answer is quite yet, but yeah, I hear you. Because I want to do more Sacred Cross Duke. I want to do more of the silly shit. I definitely want to get back to the Sacred League. Like that's something we're definitely going to do. But I just don't know where it all lives. And I try to avoid doing more is not always the answer. But I actually think in this case, it probably is. But just a little more. Mm-hmm. I never want to do more than one episode a day for the show, like for Last Stand, ever. You know, on average, sometimes we'll publish 3 times in a day if we have to, but like on average, it'll all even out. And we have to figure out how to fit everything within the confines of that. So I hear you loud and clear, but I don't know what the answer is yet.
Yeah. If I can chime in, if you don't mind, no. Colin.
Moving on.
I think that,
no, but
I need 15 minutes now.
Yeah, please give me 15 minutes.
I was just going to say, you know, we're working on, one of the main things I think we identified is, as you were saying, that Sacred Symbols Plus is one of the main benefits that people really come to. And it's unfortunate if it is, as you were saying, inconsistent. And so I think that's our primary goal with what we want to reformat, is that we want the perk that most people are paying for to be something that they consistently want. And so we have a lot of cool ideas about that. So yeah, I just want to say we've heard the feedback where people are like, I'm cool, but no thanks. Still love you guys, but like not for me. That's one of the reoccurring things that I've seen. And so that's the main thing that we want to tackle, is like, what can we provide while doing the other stuff? As you were saying, like spoiler casts, where did those live? So how do we get that consistency? Like, you're going to want what we put out every time. Yeah.
In some sense, there's an expectation that not everything would be for you. Obviously, of course not.
Sure.
I listen to fewer than half of the interviews of places that I subscribe to. Like if I'm, Lex Friedman or something, it's like I don't listen to even half of them. And I personally don't go into the comments and be like, well, not for me. But like, to each their own, I'm not making fun of that approach necessarily, but I just I guess what I'm saying is I understand that intuitively, inherently, it can't all be for me. It's just not possible. But we could probably do more to make more of it more universal. And yeah, because I've never been more proud of the content, frankly. Like, I think the content's excellent right now. And with everybody, I think everyone's doing a great job. Punching Up is coming up now, and Summon Sign is rolling, and so on and so forth. But yeah, I'm thinking about it, and I get you, and I hear you. When we'll get to this summer, I assume we'll figure this out. All right. Finally, merch at laststandmedia.store. You can support us over there. We do our own in-house merch shop, so everything is shipped by my wife, Micah, directly to you. Free shipping on all stickers here in the United States. It's stickers, it's hats, it's shirts, it's sweatshirts, it's whatever. Go check it out. Biohacker wrote in and said, hey, Sacred Gents, just a shout out for the Moriarty Raygun 24 shirt, which we no longer sell. I don't think. It wouldn't make any sense. I recently went to Disney World and received numerous looks of confusion after people realized it wasn't a Trump or Harris shirt. People then ask, who are Moriarty and Raygun? Well, who are you? What should I say to these randos? I was hoping to have a real life encounter like so many other listeners, but at this point, I'm curious if all of your listeners are bots and don't exist in the real world. How can it be? Keep up the good work. I'll start my digital bath and listen now. Thank you for writing in and for your support. I have the only Moriarty Raygun 24 lawn sign in existence. It's in my my garage, actually. And I love that in the Reagan style, just like the shirt.
Yeah.
I don't know. Make up stories. It's people definitely Googled it and figured it out probably, which is good. That's the idea. It's a little weird. I've said before that I would believe that we are a Truman Show style operation wherein there is no listenership. And even Chris and Dustin are in on it.
Yeah.
And it's all a game. Like for me, like somehow this is just a hilarious little thing for everyone. All right. Biohacker, be well. Okay. So let's get into, I'm actually going to get rid of this because we're running a little long and I don't want to be here for more than an hour in the topics of discussion. Yoda's slimy mud hole wrote in. Said, Colin, I figured I should tell you that pretty much every time I eat pasta, I use store-bought boxed pasta and Prego sauce, and I'm not even a little bit sorry. Enjoy your day. I don't mind this. First of all, boxed pasta is like even.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I've eaten real pasta and I've never personally made it, but people around me have made it before. But that's not a common thing. We use boxed pasta. It's the sauce that you have to make. Now, I'll be the first to admit a ragu, a Prego, whatever. Like these are fine, but they're jarred sauce. It's you can easily make a sauce so quickly that's better than any of the shit you're buying in the jar. So it's like you're hurting yourself. You're holding the gun to your head and you're making fun of me, right?
Yeah.
Do what you got to do, I guess, buddy.
Yeah.
What do you want from me? Don't hurt yourself.
I feel like the calling out boxed pasta specifically is very strange because I just feel like that's the overwhelming majority of people do that. Like by a lot, by like a greater margin than the sauce, I think. Because I make my own sauce generally if I make pasta, just because it's just like it's so easy to make a really good tasting sauce. But like boxed pasta is fine. Is that like a like? Do people sneer at boxed pasta the way they?
I've never personally heard a sneer at a boxed pasta, and I come from a very snooty Italian American family.
Yeah, it's a strange. Like, it's just weird to pair those two as if they're equivalent, I guess. Because I definitely get the like ragu and like Prego. It's like, you say they're fine. Like, I do believe that ultimately, but like, I personally don't like them at all. I just think they're like they're off. They're just not the right. Profile for me.
Yeah, it's very generic.
Yeah,
and not that good. But I've never bought it. But I wouldn't, if someone was like, "Hey, you want to eat pasta with me?" and serve me up, I wouldn't be like, "Oh, throw it in their face."
No, yeah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't like cum in it or something. I'm just like, but like, I think like
not going to do that.
Like I at that point, like I would rather just have like buttered noodles or something. You know, I would prefer buttered noodles over like Prego.
Definitely,
so I agree with that by a wide margin. And I don't even like particularly love buttered noodles. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Do what you got to do, I guess. But
sometimes Holly will use the canned sauce in a pinch, but she adds like a bunch of, it comes with, it's spiced in it.
Yeah.
But you still add some on top. Because as you said, they're pretty generic and plain. And she's made these pretty good. Now the box pasta thing, Holly recently made homemade pasta for the first time. And she admitted, she's like, these don't look great. So hopefully next time will be better, but let's just try it out. I was like, okay. And it's to be fair, they didn't look like perfect pasta. Holy shit. It was amazing though. So box pasta is always going to be convenient, but I get it. I get it now. The homemade pasta, pretty good.
Oh, it's very good. It's very good.
Yeah, it's great. Like we used to get I think my parents still get it, but like we get because I think they know somebody who has a restaurant or something. So like we get like real like homemade pasta for like leftover stuff that they just couldn't like. Hey, here you go. It's gonna go bad if we keep it. And that shit's really good. Like it is bomb, but like it's not. It really is so much in the sauce, like and what you put on. Like pasta is very like neutral. As a food stuff, I think it really all depends on like it's kind of like rice in that sense, where like there's definitely bad rice, but it really does matter. It's mostly about like how you prepare it and like what you put on it and what you.
That's exactly right. You got to wash your rice for instance.
Yeah.
You know? And then it's so good.
Give it a rinse.
So much better. I mean, I'll eat rice. You can smear it in shit and I'll eat it. I love rice, man. We eat so much.
It's the second time.
Oh man, that's
it's twice in a row there.
Now people are going to read into it.
They're going to read into it.
You know, so we eat so much rice that it's crazy. We have a big Rubbermaid container and we buy like the 25-pound bags and just dump it in.
That's what we do.
Yeah, and then you just scoop it out. It's great. It's wonderful. And I'll eat rice I would never, ever, 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 ever get tired of rice. Ever. Never. It's the greatest of all grains.
It's like, I think I had rice. I think genuinely I had rice every day for a good like 3 years at one point. Like it's a pretty consistent thing in my family. Where it's just every damn day was rice.
Be like the Japanese and put a little mayonnaise in it if you want.
That's okay.
Well, fair enough.
Yeah,
and then konnichiwa to you. All right. What were we talking about?
I have no idea.
Prego,
which is also a term for someone being pregnant.
Right.
It's prego,
that's
I guess.
That's a Western PA pregnancy announcement right there. I've seen that. I've seen that numerous times where it's like the girls, we're prego.
Jeez Louise.
Yep.
Love that.
Maybe it's not a Western PA thing, but I just see it a lot here.
Well, those are your people. That's who you're going to see. So yeah, eat whatever you want. I don't care. I'm not that snooty about it. I always say this is I like really good food and I like really shitty food.
Yeah.
I have no shame. I don't care. I'll eat. I'm the one who introduced to the world the mozzarella stick hot dog, as you might recall.
What is this?
This was when instead of you eat a hot dog, but you just use mozzarella sticks instead of hot dogs. So like everything else is exactly the same, but you just make mozzarella sticks and put them in the hot dog bun. And then you could dress them just as you would. And it's ridiculously good. But I'm a total degenerate with food. But I also love going to and getting $100, steak or something like that. Dude, and I see the joy in that too.
It reminds me of like when I went to a diner. Like I can't believe I didn't bring this up on the show because I thought it was so weird. Like I think in like the last probably like in the last 3 or 4 weeks, I went to a diner. And I ordered like a mozzarella sticks platter for like an appetizer because I was just like, I really want mozzarella sticks. It's been a while. And then when it got here, I think like 80% of them were just completely hollow and empty.
Oh my God.
And I was like, because that happens every once in a while where you get one empty one. It's like, that's funny. But dude, it was like the overwhelming majority. I was like, yo, what's happening? I thought it was like an omen. You know what I mean? Like I thought, like, oh my God, it's like this is where like it's like Tony Soprano, where like someone's gonna walk through those doors and then it's just gonna.
Did you send them back?
Yeah, I was like, listen, I normally don't do that. I normally like whatever. I don't really care about that stuff. But like, dude, like, it's like the entire purpose of the dish is just completely gone. Like I haven't had a single mozzarella stick in like 8 bites. It's ridiculous.
Does that mean their fryer was just filled with like a glob of floating cheese? Because where'd the cheese go?
Yeah, I think what happens is like because they said like we overcooked it and I think it like pops and just kind of falls out, which is crazy. I can't even imagine that. That must look disgusting. But but yeah, they gave me they redid it and they didn't charge me for it or anything. It was fine, but like it was just such a weird. It was a weird experience because like, I don't think I've ever had something like that happen where like everything that could be wrong with something was wrong.
All right. I wanted to call this out because I just thought it was funny. Tom Gentry wrote in and said, Colin, on the season finale spoiler cast of The Last of Us Season 2, Micah absolutely demolished your validity as a podcaster, and in doing so, created a top 5 moment in the history of LSM content. She called you out for your attempt to discredit Brandon Sanderson's prodigious work as an author by pointing out that you've equally rambled into a microphone for thousands of hours. How could you possibly have anything left to say? What do you have to say for yourself? I will take a long walk off a short pier and listen. I won't get into it too deeply other than to say that people that love me getting my balls busted, especially by Micah, should go listen to that episode. Because she does body me pretty badly in that episode. I will say this, though, if I might.
Yeah.
We weren't talking. It was a very funny thing. She nailed me. But if you think about it for 2 seconds, what she was saying doesn't really make any sense. So I will throw that out there, but it's funny and I'll take it. It's one of those things where you can't fight back. I'll own that I was owned. Right. But writing books and doing ephemera podcasts are not the same thing.
Is it not the same thing?
Right, she scared the shit.
Dude,
you have something you want to say?
From the darkness.
I'll only add on that not only do you have this podcast, you created a podcast called Side Quest for all the thoughts that don't fit into this one. And I find that very interesting when you have this whole concept of not polluting your body of work. We have Side Quest for all the things that don't fit here. 5 hours a week, every week, 52 weeks a year.
Recede into the background now. It's time for you to go.
That was actually scary. She genuinely that was like a vampire, like emerging, like Nosferatu. That was crazy.
People will very much enjoy that if they go listen to it.
Yeah.
So just wanted to throw that out there. Mutter12 wrote in and said, all right, now I'm going to try this. Go Aisatsu Moshiagi Masu? Do you know what that means? Go
no.
Aisatsu Moshiagi Masu.
No, I have no idea.
Should we look?
My Duolingo is not far enough along.
Oh,
but
you're doing Duolingo
spoiler warning. Oh, yeah. I've been doing Japanese Duolingo for 2 months now.
Can I ask you something about that? Do you feel like you're making any real progress?
Yes.
Really?
Because most of my time has been spent learning the alphabet.
Oh, yeah. I can see that.
So we'll see. I mean, I've still been doing the language lessons as well. And it's...
Oh, and like kanji or whatever, is that what it?
Hiragana and kanji's the really difficult one.
Kanji?
You learn that kanji?
Jeez, Louise, I'm like a fucking King of the Hill character or something.
I was gonna warn you, Colin. Spoiler warning for this question.
Yeah.
So skip to the next timestamp. Last of Us 2 spoiler.
Oh yes. Right. Very well done.
Just a quick save.
And by the way, I looked it up. It means I would like to make an opening statement.
That's good.
If you could save Joel in The Last of Us Part 2, but you had to jerk him off to save him, would you do it? Only need Colin and Chris's answers. We all know Dustin would. What do you think of that, Dustin?
Wow. I mean, you can really apply this to anybody.
Yeah.
Would you jerk a man off to save his life? Would you do it?
I guess the answer has to be yes, right? I mean, would you really let someone just die? Would everyone interpret it as gay?
I like the idea that like what has more weight? The life of another human being, or the idea that people might think you're gay.
This gets right back to the goat fucking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I guess the only moral answer is yes.
Right.
You know, like because you're just like you're a complete asshole if you say no, because it's just like, what, you're hung up on this? You're gonna save this guy's life. Depends on who the person is, quite frankly.
Right.
Also,
would you want if someone's got a gun to your head and you're like, hey, if someone doesn't jerk you off, I'm going to kill you. You'd want someone to jerk you off.
Yeah, I guess.
You would be like, please jerk me off.
You know what would be terrible about that is if it'd be really awful if you just did. And then it's just going to take
it's gonna be a minute.
It's just going to be, oh man, fuck. Yeah. It's going to be hours.
Right. You got to be the horniest you've ever been in your life. It's a bad time for it.
I don't know, man. I don't think I would. In the setup of this specific question, like the parameters that he set up with the character that he put there, like no. I wouldn't do it for I wouldn't do it for Joel.
Yeah, for Joel, I mean, it would be, there's just so many people around. You know, it's like all the wolves are there. Tommy's there.
No context. His legs are blown off. You know, from the shotgun.
Right, that's right. Yeah, he would have been fucked I don't know if he would have he'd be like, no, don't jerk me off, because he knows that if he lives, he's going to be like, you know, crippled and not be able to live a normal life in this environment anymore.
Why'd you do that?
You said everyone's there. I mean, Ellie's there too.
Yeah, Ellie, don't do
jerk
it.
Me off
that's a crime at that point, isn't it? Oh well,
it's a crime to fucking kill him.
Yeah, that is true. I guess law has collapsed. I guess. So I guess it doesn't really matter.
Would you jerk off a man to save him? is a ridiculous. It's a ridiculous question. Thank you for writing in. Finally, and this one's for you specifically, Chris. Jonathan Haffel wrote in and said, in a world where people are saying prawn and unalive to censor words that may be considered problematic, I found a new one that I wanted to share with you. A YouTube comment I saw a user referring to someone who killed themselves and said they did suicide. I hope this ruins your day like it did mine. Thank you.
That's it. It does bother me. I understand why this is in place. I just think it's like a dumb thing that doesn't. And also, like, I don't even think it's real. Like, people insist that, oh, if you say these things, like, you won't catch the algorithm. But I saw even recently, like the other day, some girl in a car talking about this exact thing on TikTok, and it definitely caught the algorithm. It was like hundreds of thousands of and it was just her being like, so I heard that, like, if you say, you know, all of these words, like if you say suicide and kill and death, like, it won't catch the algorithm, and I'm gonna do it to see if that's true, and it clearly isn't. So, like, I guess I don't know why people do it, because it's clearly not real. To the extent that it is real, it's probably a coincidence, because YouTube and, like, a lot of these algorithmic barriers are just so inconsistent with how they do things. Like, there are episodes of my show, not even Snark Tank, like my videos, that will get flagged, or they'll have like they'll get the yellow $sign, and there's really barely any curses in it at all. And then there are other words, there are other videos where it's laden, almost like tempting the system, and then it passes completely fine. So, like, I really don't even think there's like an actual setup at all for this stuff. I think we've just somehow convinced ourselves that that's true. And then maybe people, like, run with it because it's kind of like a joke. And I do think it's, like, I don't know, it's funny a little bit to say suicide or, like, forever sleep. But, like, it's funny as, like, a bit, but, like, to do it authentically, especially when you're covering things, that's what bothers me the most, is, like, people who like cover news, or they'll cover, like, the literal rape of some woman, and they'll, like, talk about it in these, like, in these fucking bluey words. And it's just like,
totally,
dude,
it's ridiculous.
How I just can't even imagine how disrespectful that would come across to the people, like, affected by that situation. You know,
I always get annoyed with corn.
That pisses me off too. Yeah, corn.
I'm so glad you said what you said, though, because you know so much more about this shit than me, and that was always my feeling too. Where I'm like, is this really, like, I say insane shit on this show. We've never gotten in trouble. Like I said, the only time is when I just repeated COVID over and over and over and over and over and over again. And we did get demonetized for that. That was the only time, literally the only time I ever got, like, where I was able to trigger it intentionally.
Yeah.
And you would think that the insane shit that I say on the show, we run ads on our shows.
And even to that extent, when you said COVID, like, I think it was, like, because you said it so many times. Because I've said it in videos and it's been fine.
Yeah, no,
so,
like, we definitely were saying it from the beginning, so it wasn't just these one or two off things. I think I said it like 25 times or something in, like, one sentence.
Yeah, I would stake a lot of money on that this is not real. Like, authentically, I really would.
We do. I'm looking, because sometimes we don't get fully demonetized, but we get limited.
Yeah, limited
monetization. Last two instances was the Lockmort edit Hood Rats, which I don't remember. That one. I mean, there's a bunch.
Yeah.
And then, of course, probably, I think this might be the biggest sacred symbols of the year. That always happens.
Right.
We have a huge episode. It's going to have limited ads. Why? Nobody knows. This was Sacred Symbols episode 346, which was after the State of Play.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and that one has limited ads. Why? Couldn't tell you.
Probably said something about fascism or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I know the Snark Tank is always limited or always completely. Just like, I don't think we've had a green on that show in months. It's ridiculous, which makes sense because the N-word's all over that show. Not by me.
Right.
Not by me.
Here's another limited ads on Summon Sign, episode 51. Guess who's on it? Colin.
Oh,
and Micah.
Oh, well, yeah.
It was definitely Micah then.
Reoccurring.
Yeah, problem? I mean, it's definitely me. Like, I like the YouTube ad revenue, but it's not that important to us. We don't make that much. If we were relying on YouTube ad revenue, we'd be finished. So it's like a nice little extra something, but Patreon is what pays the bills. Okay, that's it. Jonathan, please don't unalive yourself and stop saying prawn.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's get into the news of the week. I don't know if you saw this. This is hysterical, and I want to have an earnest question with you, or earnest conversation with you about it. Daniel Ross wrote in and said, "Blessed be Sacred Sons, a holy piece of PlayStation history has been put up for auction. One of the lucky few will be able to own Chelsea Grace's commemorative release plaque for Concord. What a wonderful day to keep living." So, as has been making the rounds the last few days since we're recording, and this comes from Push Square specifically, but everyone's talking about it, on Goodwill's website, Goodwill, the American charity, where you go and kind of drop off your gently used items and then they sell them, clothes and books and shit like that. On shopgoodwill.com is actually an auction site. And when they get stuff that they know is valuable or that they feel is valuable, they actually just put it on there instead of in their local stores. And this very interesting thing popped up. It is a commemorative plaque for Concord for one of the people that worked on the game. And I looked her up. Push Square says here as well, Chelsea Grace, an outsourcing and co-dev lead at Shutter developer Firewalk Games. Her name is imprinted on this thing, and this was obviously given to everyone that worked on the game at Firewalk. And she just gave hers to Goodwill, which is fucking hysterical. And I looked her up on Moby Games. This is her only credit. So maybe she's just going to get out of this now, or this was her first job and painful situation. I mean, who knows why? But she brought this thing over, and this thing kind of is making the rounds right now, and you can bid on it. And the bidding, so the problem is that I earnestly, when I saw this, I was like, I'll pay $1,000 for that. But I knew in my mind, I'm like, there's not going to be anywhere near enough. And it's already at $3,000 with 5 days from when we're recording left. As everyone that does these things knows, and I know this because I bid a lot on G.I. Joes and other things when I was a kid as well on eBay, is like, this thing's going to skyrocket with like 10 minutes to go. So I'm not going to pay that much money for it, but I would have gladly paid $1,000 for it. It's very similar, if people are listening to the audio and don't know what we're talking about, very similar to what you would see for like a band when they release a record or they get a gold record or whatever. And, you have like the album art, and you have maybe a picture of the band, you got the gold or silver CD. Here, it's just Concord's box art, the disc, and then a little plaque that says Chelsea Grace, founding free gunner, North Star crew, worldwide Concord launch, August 23rd, 2024. By the way, I'm don't ever tell me ever again that no one thought this game was going to be big. Okay. They gave everyone at the studio this shit.
Yeah.
For a game that was pulled offline after 2 weeks. Don't think they would have done that. They assumed that it was going to be a huge thing. So the real question was, should we bid on it? But now the real question, I guess, is how much is it going to go for? Dustin?
This is tough because now it's a news item.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably going to add to the value to some degree. The question is, how many of these are there out there? Because what we may find now, if this sells for a lot of money,
someone sells their own.
Other people might try to sell theirs. And if there's more of them than in the market, and the pop of like, oh, look, someone's getting rid of this, those will go for considerably less. So it might be in our best interest, if we wanted one of these, to wait. But maybe it's possible another one could never appear at all. Maybe if you're a developer that worked on Concord and you'd like to sell us one private label, we could, not private label, a private sale. Maybe hit us up.
Yeah.
I think this would be awesome to own.
Oh, Mega, it would be so sick.
We could if we got it. Well, I mean, I guess it's your money, Colin. So you're the one who's really buying it. But if you want to display it on the show, maybe we could hide their name.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah. I'll pay you $1,000. If someone out there that worked on Concord, frankly, there are people that work at Concord that listen to the show. I'll buy your plaque for $1,000. Hit me up on Patreon.
I like it.
I'll buy it for $1,000 and we'll hide your name. I'm going to hang it in my house and your name's not going to be hidden, but I'll make sure no one ever sees it.
Oh, man.
I just love the audacity of this. Like, your name is straight up on it.
Yeah.
She just doesn't care. It was probably a really bad experience. I mean, it was a really bad experience for them. So
yeah, why would you want it?
Yeah, why do you even want this?
Yeah.
Now, the only thing I was thinking, Chris, was you could tell the person that found this didn't want it, I guess. Because if I was the one who saw this, I would have been like, I'm keeping this as quiet as possible and buying it for $100 or whatever. No one's going to see it. If you don't share it, no one's going to see it. Or it's unlikely anyone else will see it. And yeah, because it started at $1, I guess. So they wanted the updates and the
right,
the credit for sharing this thing more than they wanted the item itself. I feel like that was a strategic blunder, in my opinion.
Now, where is Firewalk? Where were they located?
Washington State.
Okay, because the Goodwill that has it is in Tacoma, Washington.
Oh, that makes
that makes
perfect sense.
See
where it's
yeah, that's like a little bit south. Man, yeah, I would love to have one. And like, honestly, any game like in this form, like with like a plaque and like a print, I would take like Ride to Hell Retribution on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I love the idea of this.
Yeah, it's cool because a lot of people at developers have done this in the past, but mostly when you see this kind of sort of thing, is people doing it to their own games.
Yeah.
It's usually not the systemic thing for hundreds of people that they put together. Sometimes it's even more expensive. I remember when Shift Up released Stellar Blade and they gave everyone in the studio a PS5. That's even more expensive than this. Although I would imagine Sony gave them those PS5s. I don't know that for sure, but you're going to make them go and buy the console. That would be fucking awesome if they did that. They're like, we'll give you a good wholesale rate.
Well,
okay. So go check that out if you want to waste money. I just can't in good conscience pay $3,000 for that. And it's going to be way more than that.
Yeah.
I imagine it's going to be 10.
Yeah, no more though. I don't. Yeah, that's like the hard cap, the ceiling, I think.
Right, and it's a piece of irony, really, because it has no interest. If you brought that to Antiques Roadshow in 50 years, no one. Actually, I mean, this game might become a thing of legend, such that it would be interesting and valuable in the future. But I don't know. I don't know if that's actually true or not. Because the game's gone. It's disappeared. If you didn't play it, you're never going to play it.
Right.
Not many games like that.
No. That is, man, it's, I don't know. Like, there is, in many, many years, I could see it having value just for that reason. Because even like an ET on Atari is like, that's floating around, even after that landfill fucking thing. But, no, this is, I could see this accruing a lot of value over time. But at the same time, who the fuck knows if there'll even be a planet at that point.
Right.
Dude, these are the best types of collector's items, if you ask me. Like, owning Tron Bonne for PlayStation 1 is cool, but thousands of people own Tron Bonne. It's just rare because it was low print and people want it. Something like this, though, it's kind of like, I think I told you guys I have a game, a Wii U game. I can't remember, some low tier RPG. But it was given to me, and I was told that it was from Iwata's office, like his personal office collection. Is there any way to verify this? No. But I believe the person that gave it to me. And so I'm like, yeah, this is the sickest thing ever. It has zero value technically, but something like, dude, a Concord plaque, something like, I mean, it's cool now, but as time goes on, it's like, oh, this was a Sony game that came and went. So items like this, very neat.
Yeah, it'll be a cool item to put in someone's collection. I'm just not spending that much money on it, personally. Yeah. Someone will. All right. Ding Dong wrote into us on Patreon and said, what's up, Sacred Symbols Crew? He actually says SS Crew. Big shout out to Days of Play. Just picked up GT7 and the PS5 Pro on sale. Can't wait to dive in. Also, if anyone's even slightly curious about the PSVR 2, now is the time. It's down to $350, and you've got 30 days to return it if it's not for you. Totally worth trying at that price. Really appreciate all the work you all do. I especially love the multiple spoiler casts for Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now it's time to finally take on Demon Souls. Excellent. Ding Dong, thank you for writing in, and congratulations on your new hardware. I did want to bring to everyone's attention that the Days of Play are back. Of course, this is an annual thing now. I think this has been going on since midway through the PS4 era, I want to say. So beginning May 28th, so that's already occurred. So you're already well within the window as you're listening to this, and running through June 11th. you can get a bunch of cool shit for cheaper. And there's other things going on too. And they revealed the PlayStation Plus games and so on, which we'll get into later. But the thing I wanted to talk about here was the hardware discounts, which I think will be very compelling to people. So again, from May 28th, which already passed, to June 11th in select regions, save on hardware and accessories, including PS5 consoles, DualSense controllers, and more. You can go to direct.playstation.com to buy directly from PlayStation, and also select retailers will be participating, probably all the normal retailers you would use locally. So they say deals on PS5 console offerings, include in the US and Canada, PlayStation 5's Call of Duty Black Ops 6 bundle, digital and standard, will be available starting at $399.99 USD or $509.99 Canadian. Man, the Canadian dollar's in bad shape. I can't even believe that. That's fucking... Just seeing that is like, oof. Sorry, guys. $400 in the US or $510 in Canada for your standard PS5 Call of Duty Black Ops 6 bundle. And that bundle in select regions such as Europe and Asia, PlayStation 5 consoles will start at €399.99 or 340 pounds. Or if we have Japanese listeners, which we have a few, I guess, but you don't need us to talk to you about this stuff, is 66,000 yen. And PlayStation 5 Pro is $50 off as well. And then accessories, $50 off PSVR 2, as was noted, and this includes the Horizon Call of the Mountain bundle, which they're probably still sitting on from launch. $30 off Pulse Explorer wireless earbuds, $30 off DualSense Edge wireless controllers, $20 off of the Access controller. I might actually buy one now because I want to fuck around with it. I just feel like it would be good for random games like arcade games. And $20 off of DualSense wireless controllers. Various discounts on games as well, including Astrobot, if you've been foolish enough not to buy that yet. The new MLB The Show 25, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, and Lego Horizon Adventures. By the way, I don't know if you guys saw, it's rumored that The Last of Us Part 2 sold 2 million copies in the last 7 weeks.
I saw that.
Mm-hmm. I can believe that.
Which is awesome for them. And then you can also get discounts on PlayStation Plus memberships. So this Days of Play, save on a new or upgraded PlayStation Plus membership. Players who join PlayStation Plus during this year's celebration can save up to 33% on select 12-month memberships. For players who are currently a PlayStation Plus Essential or Extra member, save 33% on the remainder of your membership when upgrading to Plus or Premium. So Plus, Premium, or Deluxe. So that kind of sucks, because it sounds like it's what happened last time, which is that the people that just get Essential don't necessarily get anything. But I don't know if that's actually what happens or not. So I'm going to go check that out because I'd like to stack a couple more years. I should have done that a long time ago. Yeah. I was like, maybe it'll change. Maybe I don't really want it. But like, why wouldn't I want PS Plus? So this is a great time to get involved. It's not going to get any better than this, I don't think, unless the monetary and fiscal situation really changes. We were saying, and I guess we were wrong, it's like we were saying a few weeks ago, now is the best time than ever to buy. I guess waiting a few weeks would have been even better, but I can't imagine it's going to get better than this. But what I wanted to ask you guys was, it's kind of a shot across the bow at Microsoft, isn't it? This is certainly hurting them, Sony. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of money to go around in the profit sphere right now. Everything's pretty tight. Inflation is driving up costs of manufacture. And yet they're willing to cut prices at the same time that Microsoft raised their prices, to the point where I think for the cost, correct me if I'm wrong on this, Dustin, but I think an Xbox Series S is now the same price as a PS5 console with Call of Duty. And an Xbox Series X is now more expensive than the PS5 Pro, which is... Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say Xbox Series S, this is on Microsoft's website. The 512 gigabyte version is $380.
Right. So for $399, you can get a PS5 with Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And then, I think the Xbox Series X 2 terabyte is $700, right? Or $600, whatever it is it $600? I think it is. And that's now more expensive than a PS5 Pro. This is a very aggressive. I mean, what I'm saying is they didn't have to do this. This is a very aggressive move, and I think that they're trying to like really put them away. Or at least I think that that's part of it. Every person you get with a PS5 console is a potential Game Pass subscriber that will not subscribe to Game Pass, and will not be able to. They're flooding the field unless you buy the hardware separately. I think they're being very aggressive here.
Yeah. So the 1 terabyte Series X is $599, and the 2 terabyte is $730.
Yeah, so that's way more expensive now.
That's so crazy.
So there's like the value proposition on hardware is clear. If you're not in the Game Pass, there's respectfully no reason to buy an Xbox at this point. And they're making it so that you can just get the hardware cheaper. You would have to buy an Xbox Series S at the same price that you would get at PS5, which is far more powerful if you care about that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's completely out of whack too, because like I think the reason why the Series X or that upgraded Series X is as expensive as it is because of that 2 terabyte drive, which the PS5 Pro has.
Right.
And it's stronger. So like yeah, man. This is a crazy move, and like you said, like not very unnecessary, because they're doing very well regardless. So like, yeah, I mean it's good press for them, I guess, also, which is probably good.
Oh,
well, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dustin.
I was just, for all fairness sake, there is the digital only Series X that's white for $550.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, I think. Well, Dustin, is there anything here for you that you would want to? Because I'm thinking like the Axis controller for $20 off wouldn't be so bad. The one thing that's not in here that people have pointed out is no Portal sales, but I think that's because there's just no Portals to go around. So
yeah,
they're selling everything they can make. I don't know why it's so difficult to make them, but they'll have to explain that. But what are your thoughts here? Anything for you? DualSense controllers, discounted. You already have an Edge controller. We all have PSVR 2. I don't know that there's too much more to get there, but
yeah, there's nothing for me. I mean, there's a few things I don't have. Like I don't have the Pulse earbuds, but I don't really need them, so I'm good there. I have too many DualSense controllers. I have 2 Edge controllers, so I'm definitely set there. But overall, the fact that the PS5 Pro is $50 off is crazy right now, just because we were talking about over the past few weeks about them stockpiling them and how there's a risk with who knows what's going on currently with the tariff situation. It seems to be changing nearly daily, but there's always a chance, even without tariffs, with the price of consoles, just the parts going up and things overall with the economy, that this could go up. So now really is the best time, if you want one, to buy a PS5 Pro, because it certainly isn't going to get any cheaper than this. And yeah, $50 off PSVR 2 as well, which that's already off of the new pricing. So, because I'm trying to remember, do we spend $600 on PSVR 2?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, ouch.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But yeah, there's a lot of great stuff there. It's not going to, I mean, I guess it could. If you're really into VR, or if you find yourself really into VR, you're going to love it. But there's a lot of good stuff there, dude. And I was just thinking the other day, GT7 in VR, so cool. If you love GT7, you have to try it in VR.
Anything for you, Chris? Do you want to buy? Are you going to spend any monies?
There's nothing here that I don't already have, and the stuff that I don't already have is stuff that I don't like. The earbuds is like, I'm not really an earbud person. Like I prefer over-the-ear headphones. I think and to be fair, there are some earbuds that I think are good, but like earbuds for me are mostly like, oh, I don't want to wear headphones because it's really hot outside and I don't want to sweat. So then I'll put earbuds in because it's just like a better alternative. But like outside of that, I'm more of a headphone person, so that's not really appealing to me. And everything for sale here I already have, basically. So like, nothing here for me, but good value if you don't have this stuff. So especially like you said, with just like the ongoing situation right now being pretty fucking unpredictable. I guess there's a chance things could get better, but like I don't see that in the immediate future. So jump on it, I guess. All
right, go.
All
right, I thought this was an interesting piece of PlayStation news that people would be interested in. Adam Cracknell wrote in, like many of you did, and said, "Hello, CDC. Can we just take a minute to mourn the announcement of the fact that The Order 1886 was going to be a trilogy, with the sequels 1891 and 1899 focusing on gameplay? Personally, The Order has one of the most interesting new worlds that will never be explored again. What do you think? Keep making that chicken cluck. And thanks for the amazing content." The chicken clucks because it was evolutionary told to do so. I have nothing to do with it. Video Games Chronicle wrote, the Order 1886 sequel would have offered bigger fights and multiplayer. And they write, released in 2015, the Order 1886 was a steampunk third-person shooter set in an alternative history version of London. The game was developed by Ready at Dawn, which had previously worked on the PSP entries in the God of War franchise. When the game was released, the Order 1886 was praised for its graphical quality, but the overall critical reception for the game was mixed. Speaking with Julian Chiez, Ru Weerasuriya, the creative director of the Order 1886, discussed his plans for the game's sequel, which was in the early stages of development before being canceled. Weerasuriya describes writing a 10-page pitch for the game, which would have included far bigger fights as well as multiplayer. Multiplayer was in development for the first game before being shelved for the sequel. 2 sequels were planned for the franchise, the Order 1891 and the Order 1899. While the third game was never in development, Weerasuriya says he had planned where the story of the franchise was planned to go if he had been able to develop the full trilogy. He also says they had written stories for the Order franchise that took place in the 20th century. According to Weerasuriya, the mixed critical reception for the first game contributed to the series being canceled. Some of this we already knew, but this is because we knew they wanted to do a sequel, but now we know that they really wanted to do a trilogy. We have some titles that they were planning. And this interview I don't know if you guys saw it. I didn't put it in the news because I don't think it's truly that interesting because developers are just being announced all the time. And a lot of them don't even really do anything. But Ru Weerasuriya announced a new studio called Atlantis Studio. Obviously, Ready at Dawn was with Sony for a long time as a second party. And then they started making VR stuff. They were purchased by Facebook. And then they were shuttered by Facebook. So those guys are all free again. And now, he made a lot of money over time. So he's putting some of that money obviously back with probably some investors. And he's not working with his old, Andrea Pacino was his old partner. And I don't know what he's doing now, but he has a new partner now named Nico Augusto. And they founded the studio ready to go, I guess, on some sort of console game. So I don't know if he's doing interview rounds to kind of promote that or whatever. Dustin, the Order 1886 now... It's been more than 10 years since it came out, which is crazy. I have told many stories about the preview events and all that. I don't want to get into any of that again. I think the game was a nice idea, poorly executed, ultimately not very robust. Could also be an example of people not realizing what they have until it's too late, because people were pretty hard on it. It's too bad that they didn't get to kind of explore more. But I feel like they didn't really fill their end of the bargain with Sony. It's why Sony didn't want to really work with them anymore. That's just conjecture. I haven't had any conversations to that end, but just knowing the state the game was in for much of development and then how it came out, it's not a huge surprise. If people wanted more Order 1886, you should have bought it at the time, and you didn't.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because the Order, the bones of what's there, if you take out the context of like, a lot of people buying it at full price at launch and it being kind of short and not super deep in terms of its mechanics, but the gameplay was good. And especially the story and the world were really impressive. And graphically, it was a very impressive game as well. And it felt like it could have been such a good jumping off point for a sequel, as long as they didn't get lost in the sauce of the technology again, and really just focused on building off of what they had made for the Order 1886. So yeah, it's definitely unfortunate. This is a game that I've championed for a long time, just though I understand why it got its mixed reception. It probably deserves it in a lot of ways. My context of playing the game was renting it from Redbox for 2 days and just playing it without this needs to live up to the $60 that I paid for it, because I just got to kind of play it as is. So that was a major boost for my experience. So if you haven't played this game and you can kind of go in with fresh eyes, I still highly recommend it just to enjoy it for what it is. Though you will never, you'll never get a sequel from Ready at Dawn. Who knows? Maybe some point Sony will come back to it with a different studio, but probably not. I think it's done.
Yeah, if you were to do that, it would almost be cool to reboot it. It would be such a shame because Sony does own the IP, but they were obviously not the shepherds of it. It would be kind of fucked up to do that, but it wouldn't be the first time. So, Chris, any order in the Order 1891 and the Order 1899? He does claim that the Order 1891 was kind of proceeding along in pre-production for a little while, at least until the plug was pulled.
Yeah, I mean, I only recently played this game for the first time. I think like in the last, I can't remember if it was at the beginning of this year or towards the end of last year, but fairly recently, and I enjoyed it. You know, like I thought it was kind of cool. Like honestly, I mean, it's in my opinion, it's better than Hellblade 2. You know, which is probably not that hot of a take, but I don't know. There was something there, and it's not strange to me that there weren't sequels, because I honestly think it had more to do with what Colin said, with more about, it was more to do with the developers and how they were operating and less about what the product was. Because I do think if there were a better partner, like I've seen games that, in my opinion, do far many more things worse than the original Order do them, and get like second chances and third chance. Like Watch Dogs is kind of one of them, where like Watch Dogs was very fine to me. And I think Watch Dogs and the Order are kind of like similar to me, where I'm just like, yeah, that was good. But Watch Dogs has like 2 sequels and probably like some weird spinoff somewhere. So like, yeah, it's a bummer to me that it didn't get another shot, because I do think that world is really cool. I just think that the idea of having like the characters that you meet in that universe, like I wasn't expecting that stuff. It's like, it reminded me of like the novelty of early Assassin's Creed, where it's just like, oh shit, like that's that person, and like we're doing this is cool. But I just think the studio was kind of just not equipped to do what they set out to do ultimately, and it's kind of what spelled the end for it, which is unfortunate but not necessarily surprising. I'm not necessarily fiending for more Order, but I do think there was more there. I think that could have definitely been done.
Yeah, I agree. I think that things could have gone in a different direction if they were given the opportunity to pursue it, but it just wasn't happening for them. And yeah, I don't know. Were they in over their heads maybe a little bit with the Order? I think so. And I don't mean that as an insult. It's tough to scale from a PSP studio to a AAA PS4 studio.
Yeah, right out the gate too. Like you're early to the PS4, so you're working with stuff that isn't really as established. Although the PS4 is undoubtedly probably easier to work with than the PS3 was, it's still new technology at that time, and jumping from a platform like PSP to PS4 is kind of, especially when there's so little to go off of on that platform, is that's a lot.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's you know, I was happy when they ended up with Facebook, because I was like, oh yeah, you found a home where where it feels like you belong and you're making good games. Didn't they do that? What was their big game on Oculus? It was like Edge of Nowhere or something like that, right? That was them, I think.
Edge of Nowhere, I think, was Insomniac.
Oh, that was Insomniac. Okay. They did some Echoes. That's what it was. Yeah, because there was like several of them, I think. So they were like somewhat doing well, but I think that whole Oculus thing is kind of not falling apart, but they bet a lot on this expansion with AR and VR and the metaverse and all these kinds of things that we're all supposed to kind of wrap together. And I think that they're burning a lot of money, and so something's got to give. And I think that's what ended up happening to them. But I wish them the best with their new studio. And we'll see what comes of that in the years to come. All right. This is a big piece of news. This comes from IGN, who broke this story. They write, EA cancels Black Panther game, closes Cliffhanger Games. Quote, Electronic Arts is canceling its planned Black Panther game and shutting down developer Cliffhanger Games, IGN has learned. In an email sent to staff from EA Entertainment President Laura Miele said these changes, alongside other recent cancellations and layoffs, are being done to, quote, sharpen our focus and put our creative energy behind the most significant growth opportunities, end quote. In addition to closing Cliffhanger and canceling Black Panther, EA is also laying off some individuals on both its mobile and central teams. When asked for an exact number of individuals impacted, EA declined to comment. IGN understands the total number of affected individuals in this wave is less than the roughly 300 roles cut last month across Respawn and EA's fan care teams, but cannot confirm by how much. Miele wrote in her statement, quote, these decisions are hard. They affect people we've worked with, learned from, and shared real moments with. We're doing everything we can to support them, including finding opportunities within EA, where we've had success helping people land in new roles, end quote. As with past rounds of layoffs, EA is endeavoring to place affected individuals in other roles across the company. The company has made use of this placement program with each round of layoffs in recent years, an effort that remains possible despite the constant team cuts, likely due to EA seemingly drastically increasing headcount on other teams at the same time. Per GameFile's reporting, EA employed 800 more people as of March of this year than it did in the same time in 2024. So that's an interesting stat. To that end, Miele's email continues, the company is focusing on a small handful of franchises going forward. Battlefield, The Sims, Skate, and Apex Legends. She also assures EA will continue to invest in its Iron Man game at Motive and the third Star Wars Jedi game, as well as maintain its mobile business despite today's cuts. They don't. Oh, it says here, the email, I was going to say this. The email doesn't mention EA Sports, but this is due to Miel running EA Entertainment while EA Sports is a separate division. IGN understands that the sports division is unaffected by these changes for now. Additionally, IGN understands that the current intention is for BioWare to continue working on Mass Effect. So, Chris, let's go to you first. What are your thoughts here? The Black Panther game is canceled. It was announced in 2023. It was supposed to be a single-player action-adventure open-world game, and it was being made by Cliffhanger Games. And this is kind of the bummer, is that a lot of this team is actually Monolith, the Mordor team. So I think they were led by Kevin Stevens, and he corralled a bunch of those guys, and they're the backbone, I guess, of what Cliffhanger Games was. So they lose again, unfortunately, and they don't even get to release their game. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, just unfortunate name for a studio to get closed. Was the first thing that I thought of. Not to make this into too much of a joke, but I think, man, it's so. I think my memory is getting a little fuzzy because, like, this is a different thing than that Hydra game, right?
Yeah, so that's a Skydance game that's more about, I guess, Captain America or other Avengers, and Black Panther's in that game, I think. Right. Okay. So yeah, that's the Amy Hennig game.
Right. So that was kind of a confusion point for me because I was like, wait a minute, there's two Black Panther like centric or adjacent games. Like I totally forgot that this was even happening. Like, to be honest, like this Black Panther game, like I just completely like absorbed those two into that 1940s Black Panther Captain America thing. So I mean, this is it's surprising to be reminded, but also not necessarily surprising that this is happening. I mean, like the games industry has seen so many losses in jobs that, like, I mean, it just kind of feels like every couple weeks there's like a new massive swath of jobs cut. It's a really unstable place to exist. A lot of it is probably right sizing, but it doesn't change the reality of what is occurring. And it sucks for that team. That's a good team, like Monolith or what is it? It was Monolith, right?
Monolith was the original team, and then Cliffhanger was the EA team.
Yeah. That's I don't know, man. It's a bummer, but like I can't say I'm too disappointed at not the game itself. I'm not disappointed by, like, because I was under probably the likelihood that I was going to play a Black Panther game on purpose is probably very low. Like, because I'm only barely interested even in the Wolverine game, to be honest with you. So. I'm not mourning the loss of a Black Panther game, but I feel bad for everybody at the studio because it's a good team.
Dustin, what are your thoughts here on this cancellation?
Yeah, it seems to be there's a bit of chaos that follows some of these licensed Marvel games. Is it connected? Probably not, but this game being canceled, we'll see what happens with the Skydance Amy Hennig Captain America game. That's still yet to be seen, but of course delayed. Wolverine seemingly disappeared out of thin air. We have no idea what's going on with that. And just licensed games in general seem to be kind of up in the air. This isn't Marvel, but there was that Wonder Woman game, of course, as well, that was canned. So it seems like the industry is kind of stepping back from some of these license deals. And even EA, of course, they said that they're focusing on their own IP, kind of stepping away from this thing. So I don't know if that's indicative of just like, these IP licenses. We've talked about how expensive they can be, and some of these publishers are starting to feel that. And of course, too, maybe the game just simply wasn't shaping up to be something very good. So they had to pull the plug, and it's unfortunate for those developers, but it doesn't seem to be necessarily indicative of EA doing bad, because as the article points out, they're what did it say, 800 more people than before,
right? A year before.
So yeah, unfortunately, just these things don't always work out.
My medulla oblongata wrote in and said, another canceled game, another studio closure. Will it ever end? It seems to be only Western run studios. What can these Western studios do to avoid canceling games and studio closures? Lower development costs, better management? I never cared for the Black Panther game because we didn't know what type of game it was, but knowing EA, they probably couldn't monetize it. Well, we did get, and I said it when we were introducing the story, is like just from job listings, I remember you can kind of tell what it was. It was third-person action open world game, is the way I read it. But yeah, they never fully announced it, and I think what you guys are saying is right in that you have to kind of nip and tuck around the edges and find the projects that work. And I kind of reject the idea that EA is at fault, I guess, fundamentally here, but EA invests in a lot of games, and I don't accept the premise that they pull money from things that are not sure hits. This is the publisher that published Immortals of Avium. This is the publisher that published, Tales of Kenzera and Wild Hearts, right? Obviously, they also have Split Fiction and It Takes Two and all the stuff from Hazelight that does really well. But just their EA Originals lineup itself, I think, is a sign that they're willing to make bets. And so I actually agree with you, Dustin, that there's probably some notion that the game was not very good. That if you just look at everything that you're doing as hanging chains and links with the strongest at the top and the lowest at the bottom, and you get to the lowest one and it's like, this isn't working out very well, you can go. Nothing's holding on to you. You're holding on. It could be that game.
Yeah.
Because as we know, Iron Man continues at Motive, and they're going to continue their Star Wars stuff. And yeah, I don't know that it might not be more, it could be some mismanagement and stuff. I mean, obviously there's some level of mismanagement if you're canceling games, but the team has to execute too. And I wonder if we'll get information over the weeks and months and maybe even years to come as people that worked on the game become more comfortable or even leak stuff, that we'll get a better idea of the state of the game. And if that has anything to do with it. 6th gen console enjoyer wrote in and said, "Hey, sacred PSSRs. Many people are blaming EA for the decision to shut down Cliffhanger and cancel Black Panther, but at what point do we start pointing the finger at Disney and Marvel? We know from the Insomniac leaks that their royalties are outrageous, and you just can't slap a comic book IP on a product and expect it to do well. Just ask Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, or Rocksteady how that worked out." Yeah, I think EA has been in a long relationship with Disney, and for Star Wars in particular, I remember criticizing a long time ago in another life, basically, this idea that no one can make Star Wars games. Remember that?
Yeah.
And they were just fucking fumbling around with Star Wars for years. And it was strange and it was weird. And they deserve that kind of criticism, but they all kind of got into business and got into bed with each other voluntarily. And you reap what you sow in that sort of sense. You know what the terms are. I believe that I do think that licensed games are becoming less attractive. And I think that studios are starting to realize, Sony is certainly realizing, I think, in its own way, although these games will continue at their own cadence. Obviously, Microsoft is doing stuff like Blade, and they just did Indiana Jones, but it's expensive to do business, and you're giving a lot of your profit margin. And by the way, the deal could be that it could be on copy, like per each copy sold or whatever. Like, in other words, there's no benchmark you reach in which you're like free of this onerous licensing. You're always just going to have to give them money. And that's really tantalizing. And there's been eras in gaming, like the NES era, where that was really tantalizing for a lot of people and a lot of companies, and people made a lot of money. But it's more risky now. Games are too expensive, and as was said, can't really guarantee that a Black Panther game would even do well. I hate to kind of put this into the ether, but I also wonder if EA looks at it and says, like, this is the game that's going to court the most controversy for us. There's nothing controversial per se about an Iron Man game, but people are going to glom on to Black Panther, frankly, just on the racial stuff. And we don't want to deal with it. And it's not good for the game. And it doesn't typically work out for these products that get bad reputations. I hate to say that, but I just look at the environment around us, and I can't help but wonder if that was part of the conversation. Is like, this game is not good enough to justify releasing and us having to deal with it, and it's too risky, and so on and so forth. So I just don't know, because people are just so annoying with a lot of this shit now that it's like, well, do you even want to, when we conceptualize this game, did we anticipate that we're going to release it into a somewhat different environment? And maybe they were preparing for that. Because if the licensing was scaring them away entirely, and obviously licensing scared them away from FIFA, we know that, then maybe they would not do Star Wars or Iron Man games at all. So
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. But it's tough. And 6th gen console enjoyers, right? There's no guarantee. So cutting your losses or trying to put resources into like what you think is going to work is smart. There are just too many games being released, and you're starting to compete with yourself. And when you see a game like Star Wars Outlaws kind of do mediocre or whatever, you probably get scared.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely see that. I also think like maybe some of it's to do, although probably like a very, very minute amount of it is like maybe some of these people end up at maybe some of these people end up on Battlefield to get it out quicker.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Some of them probably will be absorbed into those various studios. But it does suck for people that lost their jobs. I know people that worked on that game, are working on that game or were working on that game. So I should reach out to them. But I never really know what to do. It's like when people get laid off, I try to like kind of lay low. It's like you don't really want to hear from everyone you've ever known to remind you of, like, sorry to hear about your situation. And in the text message era, especially.
Yeah. It's kind of like with that kind of thing, because I know people in similar boats where it's just like, I don't know if I should say anything. But then also, it's usually like if they post something about it. You know what I mean? If they post something about it, it means that they're kind of open to hearing things about it. Then I'll be like, all right, hey. But like if they don't say anything, I'm just like, I'll back off. You got a lot to work on, clearly.
All right, guys, what do you think about this next story? Mr. Tree wrote in and said, "Hey, Fat, hope all is well in Sacred Land. According to IGN, the co-CEO of the developer of MindsEye has claimed that there exists a quote-unquote concerted effort to, quote, trash the game and the studio, unquote, and has even suggested people are being paid or using spam bots to post negative comments. This feels like a bit of a cope to me. I personally think they have done a horrible job promoting this game. The amount of gameplay on display has been minimal, and what they have shown looks rather generic to me. What do you all think, though? Do you see this concerted effort they are speaking of? Thanks for the phenomenal content you produce every week. Keep up the great work. I'll continue to listen, continue to keep living and listen. Now, that's wonderful to hear. Okay, so Eurogamer is actually the main source of this. You probably read a regurgitation from IGN, which is totally fine, but Eurogamer is the one that kind of wrote about the story first, so I want to give them their credit. They write, MindsEye boss claims negative reaction ahead of release has been paid for in concerted effort against studio. The co-CEO of MindsEye, they write, developer Build the Rocket Boy, has suggested the game's negative reaction so far has been paid for in a concerted effort against the studio ahead of its release. MindsEye is an upcoming action-adventure thriller from former GTA producer Leslie Benzies, which is being published by Hitman studio IO Interactive. It is set for release on June 10th across PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. A new trailer was released last night from when they published, highlighting some of the features coming to the game, such as the ability for players to create their own missions using the in-game creation system. However, despite the trailers and having veteran developers working at the studio, the reaction to MindsEye so far has been underwhelming. A bulleted rundown listing issues with the game, which was shared online earlier this week, called MindsEye a broken, quote, broken mess filled with bugs, end quote, and enemy encounters that lacked depth, in quotes. Now, Build a Rocket Boy's co-CEO has claimed that there is a reason MindsEye is getting negative feedback. It's because people are being paid to do so. In an exchange on the MindsEye Discord server, Mark Gerhard was asked if he believes all the people who reacted negatively were financed by someone, to which he replied, 100%. When another user in the chat highlighted Gerhard's claims were rather unexpected, the studio exec replied, not wild when it's true. And in another reply, the studio exec added it, quote, doesn't take much to guess who, end quote, with an accompanying laughing emoji, though he didn't elaborate on this point further at the time. However, when confronted about the matter further, Gerhard said there had been, quote, a concerted effort involved regarding criticism around the game and the studio. And then he writes later, quote, I just said that there is a concerted effort by some people that don't want to see Leslie or Build a Rocket Boy to be successful, that are making a concerted effort to trash the game and the studio. It's pretty easy to see the bots and the repeated replies to any content that we put out, end quote. Uh-oh. Dustin, what are your thoughts here about MindsEye, Build a Rocket Boy's co-CEO's claims, and the possibility of paid coordination against this game?
Well, first of all, I think this is keeps happening that we have CEOs or studio heads in public discords saying things that ends up being newsworthy. And it's interesting because these aren't really like statements on Twitter, but they were publicly communicated. So it's just a weird new era. I mean, technically that's happened to us to some degree, where I think this was like a year or two ago where, Colin, you said something about some kind of leak on our Discord and someone screenshotted it and posted it on the gaming leaks and rumor subreddit. Right. So, and that's obviously a much smaller scale than being a co-studio head and saying stuff. It's like, you got to be careful. Because people are watching and they got their screenshots ready.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So as far as a concerted effort, I was thinking about this because it's not impossible. You know, you can pay for bots to do all kinds of stuff online. I've heard plenty of examples. I mean, not quite the same, but like a YouTuber can go and buy views on any video they want. They can even buy engagement. You can buy followers on Twitter. You can buy replies on Twitter. You can buy all these types of things. So is it possible? Certainly. And I haven't like gone to look to see like what some of these responses are. On the flip side of that, there is a thing with the internet where there's a pile-on effect that can happen. We've seen this just a few months ago with Nintendo announcing the price, where it's like 1 million people spamming drop the price. Those people weren't bots doing that. That's just like someone found like a clever gotcha thing here. It's not even really a gotcha, but a complaint, and it's easy to spam over and over again. And so if the message around your game starts to become negative, some people might just join in because, well, that's what everyone else is saying. So, and it's fun. Haha, look, we're all saying the same thing about this game, right? So the game doesn't look particularly great, but it doesn't look particularly bad. So I guess the question is, if what he's saying is true, that's like, oh, that like he mentions that there's this tweet that's about how it's filled with bugs and it's 15 hours long, whatever. We'll see what happens when the game comes out, because if the game's great, then maybe there's either something to it or everybody's wrong. And I guess that's kind of the better outcome. But is the implication, and maybe I'm misreading this, is that he's like, it's pretty obvious to tell. Is he saying that Rockstar?
I don't know who else would it be. I mean, that's the whole thing, is that Leslie Benzies was the producer of the Grand Theft Auto games and some other stuff like Manhunt and Max Payne and stuff. But who else that's all he's ever done. So like before this, so like who else could they possibly be talking about?
Unless it's like an inside baseball thing where it's just like an individual that he knows.
Maybe. Yeah.
You know, like that's also possible. And because obviously this is not meant to be, I don't believe that these statements were made to be like done in like a forum to be like, oh, I hope everybody latches onto what I'm saying here. Like he could be referring to a lot of things. Sorry. Go on, Dustin.
I was just like, because it says it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
We all connected the dots that it's Rockstar. I don't think Rockstar fucking cares.
No.
They're probably very busy right now. They're about to release potentially the biggest video game release of all time. I don't think they're worried about MindsEye. I just don't. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's stupid. So anyway, my overall point, and I throw it over to Chris, is just that, is it possible? Yes. Is it highly unlikely and sounds like cope? Yes. And we'll just have to see when the game comes out. Big words. So maybe the game will be amazing, and then it'll be like, maybe. But also then probably not.
I noticed on the MindsEye, so MindsEye, they put up an explainer 2 days ago on their YouTube channel, and they have 1 million views on it, but only 1.6 thousand likes and 276 dislikes and only 9,000 subscribers. It could be running as an ad, which would boost it. All right, so let me get into the next inquiry here, and this will allow us to continue to talk about this. Now, here's a guy wrote in and said, "Hi, gang. What's with the MindsEye reaction? Certainly the story and gameplay are not groundbreaking, but it looks to be of quality and reminiscent of a GTA clone back on the PS2 days. If the middle market of games is to live again, how do companies avoid falling prey to rash social media reactions? Comments from the general gaming audience about cheaper aesthetics and gameplay than a top-tier AAA game. Does it take a unique art style like Expedition 33? I'll goon aside and listen." I gotta say, looking at this, so I've been looking forward to this game, and I think it looks fun. I still think it looks fun. Like, I don't really understand why people are being so hard on it. If what people are saying is true, that it's really broken and fucked that the people have played it or whatever, that's a different story entirely. And we'll see when the reviews come out. But just from looking at it, I'm like, I think this looks good. I don't think it looks, like you said, it doesn't look like a revolutionary, amazing game, but I like my near future sci-fi and the robots and the setting, and everyone's like, this looks like shit. This looks generic. It's like, you guys have watched what, 17 years of the same Marvel movie over and over and over and over again, and the same Star Wars schlock over and over and over again, and then you call this generic. Interesting. Like, to me, it does seem a little rash and weird. I don't want to say I'm rooting for the game because I don't really care if it does well or not. I mean, it's kind of up to them how the game does. I will say that this kind of reaction shows a cracking under pressure, and I can kind of understand it because it's not looking good for them, and they've dumped years and a lot of money into it. Everything's riding on this game. And remember that Build a Rocket Boy is building in tandem a game that's supposed to be even bigger than this. This was supposed to be a spin-off, as people might recall, of another game called Everywhere.
Oh, right.
And Everywhere is like their big game that they're trying to like do. I agree with you, Dustin. It seems a little bit ludicrous to imagine that Rockstar gives a fuck, but it's not hard to imagine that there could be bad blood between these guys. I don't know what happened behind the scenes or whatever. This is a very Jade Raymond style situation, though, in my opinion. And Leslie Benzies obviously is much more successful and has a much longer track record than Jade Raymond, though, where people say like this comes from the people that made Grand Theft Auto. And I was talking about this with Micah yesterday, and I'm like, it came from the person who produced Grand Theft Auto. That's a really big and important thing. Producing any big game is difficult and necessary, but they're not the creatives. They're the one that keeps everyone in line, make sure the trains are running on time, checking in on work, getting to milestones, dealing with personnel issues, facilitating things. It's very important, vital shit. The oil that makes the cogs work. But he didn't have his finger on the creative part of Grand Theft Auto. And that will be what will be interesting. And if that translates. And I'm sure he started as a designer, so he knows what he's doing. And he does have some directorial stuff, I think, with Max Payne and other things, but let's not read too much. It's not the Housers.
Right.
And I think so I can imagine, and this is just me spitballing, but if you let's assume Rockstar is upset or there's bad blood, you can imagine that maybe people are upset because it's like you're leveraging who you are and like your connections to Grand Theft Auto, but you're the producer. And a lot of people don't know the difference. And so you're kind of abusing a situation. But if I were him in this made up scenario I'm creating, I'd be like, I don't give a fuck. I produce these games and we're gonna do what we have to do. I don't think it's looking good for them, but I'm gonna buy it and I'm gonna play it. And I do think that the reaction to it has been a little comical. It's one of those games, as was noted earlier, it's just easy to pick on and then like double down and triple down. But I'm like, I don't really get what's so egregious about this game. When it comes out, we'll find out if it's truly egregious or not. I don't know. But just from looking at it, I'm like, I agree. It looks like a PS2 or a PS3 game. It looks fun. It just looks like a fun third person shooter romp kind of thing. And I'm like, I'm down. Cool. We'll see. Anything else to say, Chris?
Oh man, I don't know. We covered so much. I think, I don't know. I think I understand. I don't think he's necessarily. I think it might be one of these things where he's like kind of right in a circular way by accident, in the sense that I don't think anybody's necessarily out there financial, like being like, all right, like, listen. I don't think people are like meeting in alleys being like, here's the envelope full of cash. Are you gonna post negatively about MindsEye? And somebody's like, yeah, don't worry. Like, I don't think it's playing out the way that he's painting it. But I do think there is validity to the sense that like there is generally an incentive now in the culture to there's like an aspiration to cynicism that kind of is rooted in the game space now, especially in like coverage and, content and definitely on, sites like Twitter that kind of feed on that kind of thing. So I think in a roundabout way, is there some financial incentive to see a game that looks like it's it's not going to be the next groundbreaking thing and kind of poo-poo it and harvest hate clicks off of it. I think so. But I don't necessarily think that translates to a literal, like, behind closed doors, or like somebody like actively buying bots to target them. I just think it's kind of like a side effect of the culture that we've kind of established in some sense. But that's really the only thing that I could add to it that hasn't been. I agree with a lot of what you guys said. That's the only angle that I would that I thought to kind of tackle it from. But from my view, I think it looks cool. But I'm generally a little bit more optimistic and forgiving of games like these. I like the AA space. I like getting weird kind of offshoot. Like, I really liked Immortals of Avium. I got my eye on like a Midnight Walk, which is not necessarily AA, but I like these games, and I like even just the harkening back to these PS2 kind of. Yeah, why not have like a Grand Theft Auto, a GTA like? Why not? These were fun, and so I'm into it. I don't think it looks like particularly impressive, and I think nowadays it's like, I mean, we all remember, dude, like the Craig thing with the Halo Infinite. Where, like,
yeah.
Oh man, that one frame of the gorilla's face looked awkward, and it became like a whole fucking thing.
Yeah, and that's been the thing with Ellie in the HBO show as well.
Oh yeah, the frames.
Joel. Called him Joel. Neil, when he was on Sacred Symbols Plus, had kind of alluded to that. It's like, it's easy to take one frame of someone looking crazy, but that's the thing now. Like, I see constant images of Ellie looking like a fucking fool. So yeah, and it comes to self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, and I think that compounds, and it's all very silly and stupid if you think about it for more than 3 seconds. But a lot of people kind of don't. They scroll and they go like, oh, and then they move on to the next thing that pisses them off. And I don't know, man. It's a bad kind of. It's undoubtedly like a bad culture that we have, I think. But I don't think people are literally targeting him, and to the extent that they are, I don't think it would be enough to really be worth commenting on. Like I don't think. Is it possible that negative, like even just a small batch of negative bots swarming a game or swarming a social media post could kind of create the initial narrative, and then people might like see the negative reception from bots and then kind of like jump onto it? I guess that's possible. I think that would just need to be like accurately, like scientifically demonstrated to me. Like, I don't know if I'm willing to buy that necessarily, because that's yet to have been demonstrated. Yeah. And there's fair. A lot of like misleading information too. Like, even just like I learned recently that the there's like a module on YouTube that allows you to see dislikes. Oh yeah, I have that on my thing. Yeah. I mean, that's apparently like mega wrong. Like, it's like not accurate even slightly in a lot of cases. Really? Like, that's interesting. Because I looked at some of my videos, and if you look at some of my videos, like, it's like some of them are way off, some of them are accurate, but some of them are like completely like, what the fuck? I think it like magnifies whatever the most frequent, like, if there's a lot of dislikes on something in like a short period of time, it'll like kind of boost that, even if it's not necessarily accurate. Almost the trend. Like yeah, it's like more about like predicting the trajectory of like the most immediate engagement. I don't really know how I don't know. I don't have a backdoor into this stuff, but like, even just seeing that was like, oh shit, I wonder how many narratives have spun off of this dislike thing that aren't actually accurate. Many. So I don't know. I really don't know what to make of it. All I can say is it doesn't look groundbreaking, and that, quite frankly, is enough to get on people's nerves now. Like, you have to have something like Expedition 33 that just like looks really impressive, that sounds really impressive, that just like there's nothing to criticize about it at all. But if there's one frame out of place, if it just kind of like looks whatever, then that's enough for people to treat it like a fucking Bad Rats or something. We'll see. So people's cynicism might come to pass. Yeah, they might be totally right. But I don't think based on the aesthetic or the type of game, because it would be it's I feel this way about the RoboCop game recently, where I was like, this game's fucking rad, and it would be easy to poo-poo that game, and a lot of people did. And it's like, well, you're a loss, I guess. Anyway, next piece of news that I want to talk about is PS Plus games that have been revealed. These are the PS Plus games for Essential for June. So this is all PS Plus subscribers, whether you're at the Premium, Extra, or Essential tier. These are the long-running games, the 3 or 4 games you get.
every month for quote unquote free, really as part of your subscription that you pay to Sony each month, each 3 months, each year. And of course, I always recommend you add these to your download list because you'll have access to them from here on out, as long as you keep your PS Plus subscription active. And so it's always nice to have these games in the hopper. And there is one game for me this month, actually, though I am curious what you guys think. So the first one here is NBA 2K25. Of course, the conference finals in the NBA are in full steam. So all sports fans anyway, have basketball on the mind. And so this is a cool game to be available PS4 and PS5. It's late in the season. This will be for the previous season, of course. We'll get a new NBA game in the coming months. But that's a nice freebie. I'm sure that will do really well. The game that's for me here, and I don't think it's going to be very good, but I'm curious about it, is the Alone in the Dark reboot. This came out, last fall? Or was it 2 falls ago now? I don't even remember. But it didn't do very well, and the studio that put it out actually went out of business, as we might recall. But Alone in the Dark, of course, was a one-time Atari property that began in the 90s on PC. And there are some good PS1 ports as well that people enjoy. It was rebooted under Atari on PS3. I played that game. Did you guys play Alone in the Dark? I think it was just called Alone in the Dark on PS3. It wasn't very good.
I played the demo, and that all I remember about it was that there was like a blink button. I remember in the demo, like that you had to press, like you had to click the sticks to blink or something. Something weird like that, because your vision would get cloudy.
Yeah,
or something. Because it was like some cinematic sequence, and I just remember being like, "It's fucking awful." But I don't know. I don't know what the rest of the game was like.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Yeah, start what? Yeah, 2008 Eden Games. Yeah, this is the one. I remember this box art, classic box art, like 90 or 2000s box art. I think at 2024. So March 2024. That's right. It was delayed. Clearly supposed to be a fall season, Halloween season 2023 game that was pushed out. And yeah, the studio that did it was Pieces Interactive. That was their only game, published by THQ. And then of course there's a third game as well. This time around, it's the well-received. This is a kind of a what would this be like? Jet Set Radio, I guess. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk on both PS4 and PS5. It came out in September of 2023 from Team Reptile. This was a well-received game, so I'll definitely add this to my list as well. I don't know if I'll ever play it, but that's there too. And then Destiny 2, The Final Shape, is a fourth little freebie. The paid update. This is the most recent one, I guess, right? For PS4 and PS5?
Yeah, that's the most recent, like, big. They've had, like, smaller things, but yeah, that's the big chapter one.
Let's see. All right, so everything will be available that we just talked about June 3rd to June 30th. So you'll have access to them soon. Make sure to grab them when you can. And you have until June 2nd, I guess at midnight or around that time, to add Maze games as well if you haven't already. Those would be Ark, Survival, Ascended, Balatro, which you should definitely add. It's a cheap game, but why not get it for free? And then the 40K Boomer Shooter Bolt Gun as well. So a nice little list of games there as well. There is more to say though. They're obviously, and I understand they're marketing things separately. They'll get to the PS Plus stuff for essential or for extra and premium later rather. But earlier we noted the days of play stuff, and in that days of play write-up, they actually do tell us some of what's coming to the premium and extra catalogs as well. So we might as well talk about that here too. So on the game catalog beginning May 29th, this is for extra and premium PS Plus subscribers. So this is by the time this goes live, this will be available. Another Crab's Treasure is added. On June 2nd, Skull and Bones is added. On June 4th, the Destiny 2 Legacy Collection is added. And then on June 10th, the Grand Theft Auto 3 Definitive Edition is added. And for classics, so on premium, and these will be available beginning June 5th and should be available a la carte as well. Very interesting. The adventure games Myst and Riven. Riven, of course, being the sequel to Myst. God, you guys were too young, but those games were. I don't like adventure games that much, but fucking everyone loved Myst when I was a kid. Everyone played that shit. And then when Riven came out, what I remember being interesting about Riven was Myst was ported to PlayStation later, but Riven came out around the same time on PlayStation and PC. So people were able to enjoy it in both places. There'll also be game trials added for premium members for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and Sid Meier's Civilization 7. So nice little additions there as well. Anything you guys want in there? Dustin, you going to platinum Alone in the Dark?
No. I'm good there. But I will be checking out Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. Looks like I thought that it looked cool for a while, but I haven't gotten to it. So now I can actually take advantage of a PS Plus game for once. So that's nice. And then as far as the other stuff coming to extra and premium, I'm kind of curious about another Crab's Treasure. I think this is the Souls-like crab game.
Yeah, it is.
So sounds kind of neat, worth checking out. As far as the classics, Myst and Riven is really interesting. And Colin, you mentioned about Myst being everywhere. This was a rare Travis Furman game that he owned and played on our PC back then.
It did have a lot of crossover appeal.
Yeah. So young little Dustin at the computer would try to play Myst. No fucking clue what's going on. None at all. But it was fun to walk around the island. I'm don't know for sure. I've never played the PlayStation versions of these. Are these the PS1?
Yeah, they'll be the PS1 classics.
I'm imagining these are probably one of the worst ways to play these games.
Riven, I think, would probably be better because it seems like it was made simultaneously and maybe to us. But yeah, Myst, I wouldn't imagine plays very well. I mean, you should definitely play them on PC if you had the option. But.
Right. There is... I'm trying to make sure it came to PS5. There's a Myst remake from Cyan Worlds that came out.
Oh, I don't even remember that.
I think that also came to PS5, but I'm having a hard time searching it because it's bringing me a bunch of other stupid stuff. So either way, interesting choices, better than whatever random ass game we got on PS2 last month. So I'm curious if there will be a re-examination of the Myst games now with games like Blueprints being really popular because there's a lot of Myst DNA, though very different. A lot of that's in there. I've been curious about going back to Myst. I think there's even a VR version of Myst, which sounds interesting.
There's a third game, right? Firmament.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm not that deep into the Myst lore. So I'm seeing a Myst 5 here, even called Myst End of Ages. Man, there's.
Oh, interesting. Is it adventure game? Cyan Worlds.
Myst 3 Exile.
Oh, okay. So this isn't even. Okay. So I'm reading here on Steam, Riven and Myst are not, this was a few months ago, are not on PS5 at all.
Okay.
But they've been announced for other platforms. And Firmament has been announced for PlayStation 4, PS5, and PSVR 2. Firmament was I just looked it up, a crowdfunded game from Cyan Worlds that I guess is in the same world or the same universe. All right. Dustin, this one's for you and me. PlayStation Blog writes Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D remake launches October 30th on PS5. So we can complete the Erdrick trilogy. Of course, the Erdrick trilogy are the first 3 Dragon Quest games. Dragon Quest 3 came out first in this format, mostly because it is the most robust of these 3 games, but it's also a prequel. So you could play them 3, 1, 2, and they would make sense in terms of the continuity of the story if you play Dragon Quest for the story for some reason. I have great nostalgia for Dragon Quest 1 and 2. In fact, I have walkthroughs on GameFAQs for both of these games. The NES versions, of course. So I'm sure they'll be revived in some small way when these games come out and people are using them again. And what's neat is that you can buy, I guess, some sort of collection that will give you all 3 of the games, or you can just buy the 2 games. I'll be all over this. They're so much more manageable, especially the original Dragon Quest is you're one player. It's really easy to beat quick, 10 hours maybe. Dragon Quest 2 a little more robust. It adds more party members and so on. But these are much simpler games than Dragon Quest 3. So I'll be interested to see based on the release schedule if people will be interested in these games or if it'll feel like a step back. I got almost to the end of Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D and I just was like, I don't really want to. I wasn't that into it. I liked Dragon Quest 1 and 2 more. And so I'll definitely pick this up. So October 30th, Dustin, will you be playing?
I will not be playing, at least at launch. I still haven't played 3 at all yet, but Holly played it and she thought it was great. So I'm curious if she's going to want to play this as well, probably. But I think it's cool that they've continued to do more of these 2D HD games. Of course, this was announced shortly after 3 was or something like that. I'm trying to remember exactly.
Yeah, 3 was announced and then a lot of time passed and then they announced 1 and 2 and then they released 3. And now we're in the release window the lead up to the release window for 1 and 2.
Right. Yeah. So cool. I'd love to see Square Enix continue to make more of these. I think everyone wants a Chrono Trigger HD 2D or at least some kind of.
Yeah, there was all that hullabaloo about the mistrans. There was like a dude or Yuji Horii had said something and some dude like wrote on in Italy at like some convention. And then some dude's like, oh, he talked about how and it was like totally wrong. That's the craziest thing. Is like no one went and looked. I don't understand that.
Nobody checks anymore.
No, they don't.
Colin, maybe when you play 1 and 2 and you use ChatGPT, you'll kind of be reading your own guide.
Right.
If it scrapes it.
Maybe I'll do something where I'll use my own guides for it. Like
cool.
I'd stream it or something. That would be funny. Chris, I won't even ask you about this because I know you're not interested. All right. Let's get into just these last pieces of news. We can get into them all at the same time. They're all sales numbers, new sales numbers. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt released just about 10 years ago. 60 million copies sold. Not so shabby. Again, I don't want to undercut these numbers. We talk about this with Grand Theft Auto. It's like at some point you're selling your games for $5 or $10 or $20. It's easy to run up the score when you're selling games for that cheap. Nonetheless, 60 million copies is insane. And congratulations to CD Projekt. We eagerly await the next Witcher game. I read that Cyberpunk 2 is in
Chicago.
Like for a setting.
Well, I think they said a version of it's inspired by Chicago.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. I was going to say it's in development now, like active development, right? That was the story recently.
Yeah.
And then Neo. So this game or series, there was Neo and Neo 2, which are PS4, PS5, and PC only. 8 million copies sold. So awesome for Tecmo Koei. And then Clair Obscur Expedition 33 sells 3.3 million copies in 33 days. Nice little piece of marketing for them.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So big sales numbers for some great games. And we'll get into what we're speaking of Clair Obscur. We'll get into what we're playing now. So it's time to talk about what we're playing. Here we are. And since we just brought up Clair Obscur and its exceptional sales figures of 3.3 million copies in 33 days, I guess we'll start with me this time around. I am at the end of Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Micah has already beaten it, so she told me I'm like right there. I just got to a boss, I guess maybe like a sub boss before the last boss in the final area, and I think I can do it. I know I can do it. I lost a few times and I'm like, fuck it, I'll just try this tomorrow. And I want to say this about this game is because I always recommend people go to sleep and come back to games. It's so fucking awesome how you're better at games. I just love that your brain operates in such a literal way like that. And it's such a way to demonstrate it that it works on these problems, even though you're not thinking about it. And this game, more than any I've played in recent memory, is that kind of game where I come to a challenging section or a boss that I'm having a little bit of problems with. And I'm like, I can definitely do this. I just need to marinate on it. And then I come back the next day and I just know how to do it. Like almost the first time, every time. Where like the dodges and everything, you just, I don't know. It's so funny how we work like that. And I think that this game brings that out. At least it has for me. I think it's an awesome game. It's an awesome game. I will say that I have some problems with it that I'm not as, and I'm comparing it to JRPGs because it is a JRPG in essence. I'm not as high on it as I am on Final Fantasy 16 or Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth lately or whatever. But I'm probably as high on it as I was on Metaphor, which I really liked a lot. And like Metaphor, it's really great, but has a few issues that stick out. One thing for me that, and I won't spoil anything here, obviously, is that I am less invested in the story the more the time goes on for me. And there's a kind of an inflection point in the game where I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't want to say any more than that. But where I was like, that really undercut everything for me emotionally. And maybe there's more to say because I haven't seen it all. So I'm going to beat it maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow. And I'll have more to say. And obviously, like we said, we'll do our Sacred Symbols Plus episode about it, a second spoiler cast with different people, as we promised. So I think the combat's awesome. I love the characters. I love the voice acting. The writing's extraordinarily good. I think there are too many systems in the game. I think there are almost redundant or unnecessary systems. But I think generally speaking, the game works on a systemic level really well. One of the things that I think is redundant, for instance, is that there are these things called Pictos. They're kind of like espers in Final Fantasy VI. You equip them and then ultimately you learn the skill. And then you don't have to have it equipped anymore. But if you have it equipped, you get the skill automatically or a series of perks or whatever. And you would just have to have it equipped on a person for 3 turns, and then everyone can learn that skill. And I'm like, you didn't need to do that. Just make it so that the Picto skills transfer. Like having it equipped for 3 turns and then everyone learns, it's just a waste of time. Who cares? So then you're just switching Pictos back and forth constantly because you want to learn them over 3 turns, and then you just put back what you already had. It's like you could have just, to me, it's like that's too many steps. You could have just skipped that. And there are a few things like that. But generally speaking, I think it works really well. I'm really especially fond of the character Monoko. I like using him in battle. He's incredibly powerful. And he uses the blue magic style like enemy skill thing. You have to fight enemies. He collects their feet, which is funny.
Yeah.
And then he learns and imbibes the skills. And I have him with a setup where I'm like, he is fucking crazy powerful. And what I think is fun about the game and interesting and different than a lot of JRPGs is the active battling. Leveling up, I grinded once for 5 levels in the game, pretty late in the game, because I was like, I feel like I could use a little more heft here. But there's a lot of balance drawn in, and I never run from fights. I fight everything I see. That's the way I am in all role-playing games. You have to do that, or you're going to have to grind at some point. But the challenge is incumbent in learning the fights, and you could be drastically underleveled and survive the game, and you could be drastically overleveled and get your shit kicked in because you simply aren't playing properly. It requires you to play defense. And I think it's not in other words, because people are comparing it, I think, to like Sea of Stars, obviously Mario RPG, a few other things. And I'm like, yeah, but this is a little different in that those games are more akin to active reload. Your gun is going to reload either way, but you'll make it quicker and it'll be a little bit better for you if you active reload in Gears, right? But in this game, if you don't dodge, you're going to die. If you don't parry, you're going to die. You're not going to survive. You'll survive like fights with fodder, but you're not going to survive any of the boss fights. And there's something interesting about that. Most role-playing games are about brute force, Japanese role-playing games. And I always talk about that. That's one of the things I actually love about them, generally speaking. Dragon Quest is a great example. You can power yourself up to the point where things become trivial. And I know that that's possible in this game too, because you can manipulate hit points and all of the rest and whatever. But it feels like it's deeper than that. And I think that they really hit on something special with that. Because there was like a problem to be solved in Japanese role-playing games. That it's not a problem because we like what we like, the turn-based nature of things. And obviously active battle, beginning with Final Fantasy IV, tried to address it, right? And differentiate it from Phantasy Star. And Chrono Trigger did something a little bit different with like party attacks, and you're building on something. This feels like something fundamentally new. And you got to give them credit for that, because there's nothing new in Japanese role-playing games anymore. I mean, even the great ones are littered with trite shit. And I think that Sandfall has done a really nice job of volleying back to Japan a different idea that will hopefully be marinated on by the people that really make these games sing better than anyone, from a culture that really helped pioneer that stuff post Ultima and everything. So yeah, I really, really like it. I will say, and I told Micah this when we were talking about the game, because she had beaten it and she has a lot of opinions on it too, and she really likes it. But I was like, what this game could use is one nice meaty patch. And there are just some things that can be fundamentally fixed. And I think with that, it would be really this meteoric thing in my mind. But there's like the no map thing, inexcusable. A big thing that's becoming a problem for me late in the game, and by the way, is the most Souls-like part of the game, not the combat, is its obtuseness. And I think that there are there's like a fucking million locations to go to in the game. It doesn't tell you anything about any of them. It doesn't track what you've done and what you haven't done. It doesn't. And I'm like, this game needs a quest log. There are just certain things that it needs. And in my opinion, would be like would make it even better, would bring it from exceptional to immaculate in a lot of different ways. So high compliments to them. Don't understand why they sold it for $50. Could have done it for $70, and I think people would have gladly paid it. Probably did help open up people's minds to paying for it at all. Of course, it also did well in Game Pass.
Yeah.
Because they're selling real copies of games, they're not using the player base numbers. Because I wonder how many people have played it. It's probably more like 6, 7. So they're probably thrilled. Yeah. Dharma Police wrote in and said, "Good afternoon, gentlemen. This is a question for Colin and Colin alone. Last week, you mentioned how much Clair Obscur reminded you of Final Fantasy 13. However, the discourse online and commentary from the developers themselves posits another Square title as a more direct inspiration, Final Fantasy X. Colin, despite 10 being amongst the most beloved, well-reviewed, and best-selling games in the series, you've yet to complete the game, but teased getting back to it many times. In fact, you're infamous in your rejection of the title. It must be said, you insult us all by relishing at the thought of replaying 13, a universally meg game, while continuing to stubbornly ignore the completion of 10, a game about theocracy, existentialism, human sacrifice, and big titty goth chicks. My question is this: has Expedition 33 perhaps opened the door a crack to try Final Fantasy X once again, or is your heart forever closed to the game? Thanks for your consideration and enjoy these summer days." Thank you so much. I want to be clear, because some people have written and said, like, I totally see what you're saying about 13, and some people have been like, what are you talking about? I'm specifically talking about interbattle traveling through dungeons. I don't know how you can't see Final Fantasy 13 in that, in my opinion. There's no world map in 13 until obviously later the game opens up. But what I'm saying is, like, territory to territory, these you are ostensibly exploring, but there's nothing to really explore. The maps aren't that crazy. They usually loop back to each other. It's corridors. It screams Final Fantasy 13 to me. But I'm not saying the game itself does. I'm just saying that part of it does. And it's what I think about when I'm in those different dungeons. My mind is open to 10. Dude, 10 was the first game I ever bought online, believe it or not. And I've tried many times. When it came to PS3 and Vita, I tried again after that. I probably tried 4 or 5 times. My mind's totally open to it. I just don't know why. I just don't like it. I don't like Titus or whatever his name is. And the laughing scene. Oh boy.
Even I know that one.
Rough. I got to the laughing scene, I think, for the first time in the game last time I played it. And it might be where I stopped, where I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this anymore. But my mind's open to it. 10 is a glaring, as big of a Final Fantasy fan as I am, and as big of a JRPG fan as I am, and how much I've played in the genre, it is weird. It's probably the most conspicuous one that I've not played. It must be. I don't even know like what would be another one.
Yeah.
So maybe one day. So I talk about the end game of Expedition because the reason that I haven't beaten it yet is like I kind of want to go around and fuck around, right? There's all this stuff to do, but I don't know exactly what to do, and I don't really get off on just the blind exploration. This is where I think that it's Souls-like, where it's like, we're not going to tell you anything, but the stuff's there, and I'm like, cool, but you could just have a quest log and tell me what I need to do, and I feel a little paralyzed. And so the bummer is that I'm not finding a good walkthrough. The game's not that hard, frankly, and so there's no reason for a guide to play the normal game, and I didn't use one, but I wanted to use one to find the side quests and all the things that I'm missing. I'm like, I'm not going to run around like a fucking idiot. But there's nothing that says like, here's a list of all of them, or everything is kind of weirdly categorized, where it's like, here's a walkthrough just to follow all the way through. Here, the first time you can get to these things. Like, no one's done a great side quest walkthrough. So then I was trying to look at the trophies and trying to figure out like what I can do there. And so I'm trying to figure it out. It's going to take me some time, but I would like to platinum it. I want to show the respect to the game. I'm also really enjoying it. Also, I want to see everything is in the game because I want to understand it as best as I can. But because of that, I was like, you know what? It's time to go back to Powerwash Simulator. Feeling it Ogre and Ogre looking over your shoulder wrote in and said, "Greetings, gents. Colin, I noticed you couldn't resist the call of the swamp any longer and jumped into the Powerwash Shrek DLC. How is it, as someone who is not blessed with the lore, can you decipher its many onion-like layers? Or are you lost in darkness like the 3 blind mice? Thanks, and keep on slaying that dragon pussy with that donkey dick. Is that necessary?"
Not as it is, but not as unnecessary as you would think.
As I think, because I've never seen the film.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So yeah, I bought so there's 2 more pieces of paid DLC I have not played yet, which was Shrek and then Wallace and Gromit. Shrek came first, so I was like, all right, I'll do Shrek. So I bought Shrek. It was $7. And I'm on the 4th of the 5th stages, and I have no idea what's going on. But I am cleaning it up. I mean, I'm cleaning everything up nonetheless. So, and it's been a nice respite from Expedition 33.
It is so psychotic to me. It's like an hour and a half of your time.
It's so much more than
The Last of Us Part 2 how many times? You played The Last of Us Part 2 how many times? You can't just sit through like 90 minutes of Shrek just to give yourself like a marginal more enjoyment out of this thing. It is so crazy to me. It's easy to get more value out of this.
I've had Micah explain things to me because I don't really understand any of the references. There was like an onion cart and like a gingerbread house and this town or like city.
Yeah, far away or Duloc.
Yeah, far away. I think it is. Yeah,
Duloc.
Yeah. So, but I'm a blue collar dude. I'm just there to clean. I'm not there to.
You're ingratiated in the lore so deeply that like you don't even know the main characters. You just live down the road.
Right. I'm here just to clean, just to do my job and make ends meet.
Yeah, you look out your window. There goes that Shrek again, wandering down with his little gaggle of misfits.
So yeah, I have no idea what's going on, but I'm enjoying it very much. All right, guys, let's get into what you're playing. Chris, it says here you're playing Borderlands 2.
Yeah. I don't know why. I had like a weird. I mean, Borderlands 4 is on the horizon. It's obviously been in the news because of Randy Pitchford's poorly worded everything. And I just kind of felt, I don't know. I kept feeling like, I'm excited for Borderlands 4. It looks good. I didn't really like 3 though at all, and I kind of wondered, like, I was thinking, like, is Borderlands 3 so different from 2 that I just didn't like it compared to it, or have I just outgrown it? I think that's kind of what I wanted to know. Like, is Borderlands as a foundation just kind of something that I'm just not really into anymore? And so I went back to Borderlands 2 on Steam. So I'm playing it on my Steam Deck quite a bit. And no, Borderlands 2 is awesome. Like it's a genuinely, it aged. There's parts of it that, it's weird. There's parts of it that aged worse than I remember, and there are parts of it that aged better than I remember. And it's not what I thought they would be. Like moving around in Borderlands 2 feels like dog water. It feels mega clunky. Like it doesn't feel smooth. It's definitely, it feels a little bit older than when it came out, actually. Like, I remember kind of feeling like, wow, this is actually like a lot clunkier to move around and jump around, and like the movement of it feels like very stiff. And I remember like I got to this point where like there was like a ledge that like I had a quest on this ledge, and I was like, oh, I'll just park my car here and jump onto the car and jump onto the ledge. That'll make up for the height. And if you jump onto the car, like it won't it doesn't register the car as a surface. Like you just kind of like, you get hit by like this, you bounce up and down kind of like as if you're like on this like invisible, like kind of magnetized surface that you can't. And it's like little things like that where it's like, ooh, this doesn't feel that good. And shooting is kind of like okay. But the quest design and like the feeling of like the check mark and like getting quests done, like that feels really good. And actually the writing, I don't even know how to put this. Like, it's not cringe, but like it's a type of cringe that is so uncommon now because it got so oversaturated at a certain point that like it actually kind of feels more like revisiting an old like comedy classic than it feels like something that's like, oh, this again. It kind of feels like watching something like the original Anchorman, as opposed to like Anchorman 2, which we were actually, Dustin and I were talking about earlier. Like, even some of the stuff that's very clearly like 2012, 2011, 2010 millennial kind of humor, like, oh, this is my unicorn, or this is my unicorn butt stallion.
Ugh.
Like, it's, I don't know. Like I had a nasal exhale because I'm just like, that's so dumb. But like, I don't know if anybody would have the earnestness to write this again. Like, I guess like it's earnest, I guess, in how funny it thinks it is, and that kind of like makes up for it in some way. Like there's something about Borderlands 3 that I found like completely unacceptable. Like I don't know why. There's like a really thick iron wall between me and Borderlands 3 because it leans so heavily into internet stuff that I feel like doesn't translate well at all. That I think translates actually way better in Borderlands 2. Like it feels more, Borderlands 2 feels more like irreverent and kind of just like it's having fun with itself, whereas Borderlands 3 feels like it's trying to relate to you, I guess. Like it's trying to be like, oh my God, the villains are streamers. You know streamers, right? Ha, like and subscribe. You know that, right? SEO. Ha. And it just like it feels like it's constantly winking at you, where it's just like Borderlands 2 kind of feels like, no, these guys are just kind of jerking around in the writer's room and they're having fun. Where it's like there's like a mission where you're trying to figure out what to name, like you're doing something for like some archaeologist or some like anthropologist or whatever, and you're trying to rename like an enemy type because it's just like the Bullymong, which I think is that's a great name. I don't know why I like it, but they were just like Bullymong sucks. It's like we gotta study this thing more and like figure out what to name it, and then like the character like suggests a bunch of new things, and none of them are funny, and you end up just ultimately going back to Bullymong, but the names change in real time, and I think it's like cute. Like I don't know, cool. It does stuff that's like fun with the medium of video games as opposed to just like telling a joke. And there's a lot of jokes that don't land for sure, like a lot of them, but it doesn't bother me as much as I thought it would.
Well, I think that there's been people earnestly didn't like Borderlands 3 when it came. I mean, a lot of people did. It sold extraordinarily well, but the writing and stuff, it bothered people at the time. But there's a lot of revisionism about Borderlands 2. People loved Borderlands 2 when it came out. People fucking loved it.
Yeah,
loved it.
No, they did. Yeah.
And opinions change and the way you look at things change. But I feel like people kind of, it bothers me a little bit where it's like, come on, man, everyone loved this game. You couldn't get enough of this game.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's both worse and better than I remember it in a lot of different ways, and I'm enjoying playing it. Like I think I'm gonna stick with it because it's a surprisingly great Steam Deck game as well. Like if you have I don't know how the Handsome Collection runs. I don't know if there's like a different SKU or whatever. I'm playing on the original, like it's like 7 gigs. It's so quaint. I love it. But so I'm playing the original version. It runs really, really, really effectively on the Steam Deck. It's like a nice. It is a nice like checkbox game. Like I use it to go to sleep, and it's not to be like, oh, it's boring or whatever. Like it's just like it kind of gets you in like a focused, like, oh, I got to check off the boxes on the quest log, and then because I'm only focusing on that, I'm just kind of like lulling myself to sleep. So it's been a surprisingly enjoyable experience. I thought I would pick it up for maybe like a couple hours, but I've already put like I think like 15 hours into it, so I'm pretty into it now. I'm probably gonna see it through to the end. I actually can't remember if I ever finished it. Thinking about it, I think I played it endlessly with like a bunch of friends. I think I like level boosted them, but like I can't remember to the best of my ability if I ever finished Borderlands 2, and I certainly didn't play any of the DLCs. So that's my new companion Steam Deck game, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's really fun. Like it's earnestly a good video game. Even if there are some things like there's definitely like there's a lot of writing in there that's like not, the writing doesn't hold up super well, but it's miles better than 3 in my opinion. Even though 3 I think feels a little bit better moment to moment. Like the movement in 3 feels better for sure, but I liked
3 a lot, but I just wasn't even paying attention to anything in the story. I was just playing it to play.
That's probably the best way to play it, honestly. Like, I'm to be honest, I'm really not paying attention to the story in Borderlands 2 either. Like, I'm listening to podcasts and I'm listening to like news, so I'm hearing about like presidential pardons while I'm like shooting bandits' heads off. But it's like I will say the headshots are genuinely satisfying. Like it's a good, yet like a good explosion, and it's very satisfying. It's a good game. Solid, very good Steam Deck game.
It's also on my cross media bar. Like it's the whole Borderlands collection, because I played through Borderlands 1, I guess in January or whatever it was, December. And I'd like to get the 2. I'd never beat any of them. That's what I was saying, is that I've played these games so much but never beat any of them.
Yeah.
And then so I was like, I really should beat Borderlands 1, so I did. And I'd like to do the same with 2. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Borderlands 2 on my Steam for the longest time was like the most hours I logged into a game in my Steam library, and I don't think I beat it. I just played it a shit ton.
I restarted Borderlands 2 a ton as well.
Me too.
Because it was on PS3, then it was on Vita, then it was on 4, and I played it at least once each in each of those places. But anyway, Dustin, it says here you're also going back, and you're preparing perhaps for Death Stranding 2 by playing Death Stranding.
Yeah, I wasn't necessarily gonna do this, but I think one night I was just like, I don't know, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the juice to go back to Death Stranding. And a few years ago, I fucked up because when the PS5 version came out, I started to replay it. In fact, I probably got 60, 70% through the game, but I was getting so into doing the side stuff in the game and doing as many deliveries as possible that I think I, at the time, burnt myself out, or like another game came out. So I never completed that second playthrough. And now it's even been a few years since that. And I was thinking, man, I want to get full enjoyment out of Death Stranding 2. And I really just don't remember a lot of the like core story beats.
I don't either. I don't at all.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to play it, and I'm going to try to not go crazy once I get into all the systems later in the game with all the different deliveries. I'm going to try to just mostly mainline the story this time. I decided, though, that I was going to play it on PC this time just to check out the PC port. Also, I heard the Steam Deck version is good, so I'm playing it on my PC. It runs amazing. I'm getting like 180 frames a second on my 4090, so it feels really good to play. And I was talking about this on Summon Sign with Brad and Mystic Ryan this past week. What has been so interesting is that there's so many things that I'm like Kojima-isms that I forgot. Like the one guy's name is Die Hardman, and he's introducing you to he's like, the homo demons. I was like, oh yeah. This is that good shit.
Hell yeah.
This is good shit. Love it. So I'm just surprised getting back into it. The intro is a little boring to return to, because it really slowly introduces you to the game, to the world, the mechanics. And so as someone who's played this game, I don't know, over 2.5 or 1.5 times at this point, it's like, I want to be driving the motorcycle. I want to make the zip lines. But it really slowly feeds that out to you, which is fine. It makes sense in the context of like your first playthrough, not giving you too much at once. But so it's been a tiny bit boring in that sense. I'm just at the point now where, like, still very early on, like I'm still in that first section. I just got to the second hub outside of the main city, and I'm starting to do stuff there. But I'm having a great time, and I want to make sure I do this in a way that I'm not like Death Stranding out by the time 2 comes out. So I have a few weeks. I'm gonna just chip away at it, and it's been really good. Still playing Stardew Valley, but I have nothing new to say about that as well. The other thing too is I've kind of taken a break on Doom: The Dark Ages. I have really weird feelings about this game. It's great. I think the combat's awesome, and I love how it's different. It's none of that. I just got to the point where I was playing it, and I'm like, I think I feel like I've had enough of this game. Like, is it too long or something? A few weeks ago, Chris asked me how far I was, and I said, oh, definitely 2/3. And then when I went to play next time, I realized I was halfway through the game. It's like, oh, I'm not as far as I thought I was. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to put it down for a little bit, and I'll be able to pick it back up and just get right back into it. I mean, maybe not. We'll see as far as being able to easily get back into it. But I don't know. It's a weird feeling that I'm like, this is good, but I'm feeling kind of bored, and I'm not really sure what that is. So I've seen other people say they think it's a little bit too long too as well. But so I'm taking a little break because I want to be able to come back to it, and I want to play it and enjoy it. So just a little break for now on that.
Give my little boy a break. Give him a break. I got to get to Death Stranding as well. I've had really ambitious plans that I just have not been able to fulfill gameplay wise because everything takes me longer than I thought I think it will in games. I don't know why. And even when I try to give myself more time, I even use all that time up and then.
Yeah.
But I it's essential to me that I play Death Stranding before Death Stranding 2 comes out because it's what you're saying. Like, I don't remember it. It is hundreds of games ago. Like I have no fucking idea. I mean, I remember it, but I don't remember the intricacies of the story at all. And I'm so excited for Death Stranding 2. Really, really excited for Guitar Man.
Oh, man.
Guitar Hard Man.
Guitar Hard.
All right. Let's get into listener inquiries. It's time to wrap this clown show up. We end every episode of Sacred Symbols, a PlayStation podcast, with 6 questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, and ideas from the users over on Patreon. Patreon.com/lastdaymedia. We put up a thread in the newsfeed each week. You check that out, respond to it. It's how you've heard all the inquiries so far. I pull out 6 more. Let's get into it. Starting with Chris H. Says, hello, Sacred Symbolites. Jesus. I finally relented. After being a PC gamer from my early teen years until my early 30s, I'm finally letting go and returning to console gaming. After spending a night tweaking setting after setting to make RoboCop Rogue City look as best as I could on my gaming PC, I realized I'd spent my entire night's free time tinkering with settings and obsessing over fidelity when I could have just been playing the game. I wonder how many hours over the years I spent doing inane tweaking, how many setting screens I've sat in and thinking about all the time I've wasted obsessing about the little things like upscaling, chromatic aberration, and frame generation technologies. It has sent me into a bit of a gaming midlife crisis of sorts, resulting in me pivoting back to my PlayStation and a subscription to PS Plus. Have any of you guys had a drastic moment of clarity in your gaming lives? Be it the way you interact with games or the platform you play on. Thanks, guys. I'll hang myself and listen. Thank you for writing in, Chris. I had to know what you guys think of this because this is not something that I experience at all. And it's the major reason why I don't give a shit about PC gaming. And why I know a lot of people don't care about it because it's like, I just don't want to mess around with this at all. I don't know any of this stuff. I don't care. Just make it run well. Give me the good settings. Like, give me the right out of the box, plug and play. I've always been put off by everything else. So everyone always talks about, the driver updates and stuff. It's like, not even that. It's just like, it's too much. You get this a game comes out, you get a chart. It's got like 17 different settings on it. All this shit. It's like Greek. I'm like, what? There's like, so I'm the guy on this show that understands this point of view. You guys are the exact opposite. And I have to know what you think of Chris H's conundrum. Dustin, let's go to you first.
Yeah, I understand this issue of endlessly tweaking a game to have it look as good as possible and how much time it can take. I don't think I had a moment of clarity, but I think over the last few years, I have gotten to the point where I'll give myself a little time to really tweak and try to optimize a game for my PC. But I've learned to kind of let go at a point where it's like, okay, I've spent enough time dicking around. I like the way the game looks. It looks great. It's running great. Any additional time spent messing around is really not worth it at this point. I think more so for me with PC gaming over the last few years, what I've learned is, and I think this is specifically a unfortunate thing of working from home for me, is that I really have to, I pick games where I want to play them based on like what they offer as far as like online and controller support over graphics, because in some ways I have I've mentioned many times, I have amazing 4080 or 4090 PC. It runs anything and it runs it better than my PS5 Pro does. But what I've learned is that I don't always want to sit up here in my room, in my office here, to play games. I don't necessarily find it relaxing to sit in this chair like tonight. Tonight it actually is an odd exception because I'm going to be playing Night Rain tonight. But for the most time, it's like, I spent 5 hours in here recording Sacred Symbols. I don't want to sit here in this room at this desk anymore to play a game. I want to sit downstairs on my couch. So a lot of times I will pick a game based on like, where do I want to play it? In what context? So I brought up Night Rain a few seconds ago. I want to play a PC game. It's easiest for me to play multiplayer games at PC because of Discord. And I also like my PlayStation is in my living room, and I can't imagine how fucking annoying I sound talking to the boys.
Go right,
Discord.
get around the dragon.
Oh, he's coming. He's coming. It's in my ass. You know, it can get a little questionable, as the boys know. And I don't want to subject Holly to that. I also don't want to hog the screen. So for multiplayer games, I'll play them at PC. That's what Brad and I will be doing tonight for Elden Ring, Night Rain. Very excited about that. But I understand that it can become an obsession to tweak games and mess with them. And thankfully, I've over the years gotten to the point where I can kind of let it go. But there's all kinds of factors. Also, like first-person shooters, not playing those on console. I just can't. There once was a time that I played FPS with controller, and I'm really not there anymore. Like, I'm a mouse and keyboard guy for that. So Doom is a PC game for me through and through. Or like a sim game or a management game like Civilization or whatever. I got to do those on PC as well for the tactile support. But I like having the option of being able to pick and choose where I play things.
Chris, how do you feel about Chris H's consternation surrounding PC gaming and it's sending him back into the loving and waiting arms of console gaming?
Yeah, like I understand it, but I can't necessarily relate to it because for me, like I do go in and tweak the settings, but it's usually to get the best frame rate. Like I really don't care about like how the game looks at all. Like, because generally speaking, I was playing because I was bouncing between Doom on PC and Xbox Series X in my living room because I was like streaming it a little bit, but then I also like wanted to play in the living room. And you know, the settings on the Series X are like low, I guess, because like it automatically transfers like the settings. And on Series X it was low apparently, and on my PC I could do it at high, and it looked pretty good. But I could genuinely barely tell that it all looks good to me. Like everything now, I think just looks good by default. Like I feel like it's the choppiness is what makes things look bad. You know, 30 frames looks uglier than like 30. Like I don't know, 60 frames at 1080 looks prettier than 30 frames at 4K to me. Like I'm so focused on frame rate, and that's usually just such an easy thing to get, especially now in recent years where games just kind of have like performance, quality, balanced. It's usually like a toggle, and that's it. Or for first person shooters, I toggle with I fuck with sensitivity a lot. Maybe I'll remap a button or two, but like I'm not really like, I think earnestly I've probably spent maybe 4 hours in my life of my gaming time in settings. You know, like I don't think I spend that much time into it. It's really more about frame rate and FOV for me. And yeah, like Dustin too, I have the thing where I definitely pick a game based on where I'm going to play it. Although that kind of has opened up with Steam Deck now, where I'm just like, because now there's a comfortability in the living room. There's, you know, the PC, which is like the office, and I rarely want to be in here when I play a game. But then there's like the bed, and it's just like, oh well, now I've got to make a decision. Like Borderlands 2 is a Steam Deck for me because I that's a game that I want to play in bed, but not necessarily on a TV. I don't know, it's strange, but yeah, I don't care enough about like chromatic aberration or even motion blur. Like sometimes like I'll go and turn off motion blur generally, but like sometimes I do forget and I don't necessarily care. Like as long as it's fast, that's really all I care about. And you can do that in like a second now. So
console gaming for life. Jonathan wrote in. He said, "Good day, Sacred Saints. With the success of Clair, Obscur, I feel validated in my desire for more stylish, modern, and Western turn-based JRPGs. Part of what I think makes Expedition 33 so fresh is that it takes the JRPG formula and paints it with French culture. I've long wanted a Persona-style game taking place in an American high school or college. While Atlas may never deliver on that, a clearly talented indie studio could. Games like Yakuza Like a Dragon also explore the JRPG turn-based formula to a less fantastical setting, which I'd also like to see explored. Be it a JRPG set in the historical Old West or modern Wall Street. What locations, industries, and people in the US would you like to see the JRPG turn-based formula be creatively applied to? Thank you. Well, my answer is you'll see at some point what my answer to that is. When we finally one day get our game out, our Japanese role-playing game, Japanese style, JSRPG as we like to call it. Dustin, what are your thoughts here on this? As a Persona fan, would you like to see a Persona game that had or Persona style game that had more of a Western feel, like Western? There's something, I hate to say it, but there's something less exotic about that and more weird, you know? But it could work. And I'm sure there are games that do, similar things.
Yeah. The thing I would want for Persona, I definitely don't want it to be Western because I feel like its Japanese setting is so core to the IP that I would never want it to take place somewhere else. But I would love to get out of high school for the games, maybe young adults, something like that. But so many, that anime style is so rooted in making things set in high school, and Persona has always been, well, I'm trying to remember. I think one of the older ones might be older. I'm not for sure though. I guess I'm a fake Persona fan. I don't know what the games are like before 3. So, but yeah, I think that changing that up could be cool. And as far as settings in general for JRPGs, I think that you could make a JRPG out of almost any type of setting that could be cool and interesting if it's implemented properly. As far as one I'd like to see, Colin, what do you think about a JRPG that you play as George Washington?
Like a Revolutionary War kind of thing? Revolutionary
War
That'd be style. Sick. I would love that.
JRPG. Could be cool.
I just love the idea of people becoming more open to this. This Expedition 33 is going to end up being a really important game for, I think, opening the minds of people to what I've known about turn-based games for my entire life, which is that they're fucking awesome. And obviously you need to do a few things to tweak them and make them more exciting for people if they're not into the literal Dragon Quest style turn-based game. But they definitely they did more than just culturally infuse a JRPG with something different. They made a totally different style of game that I think will bring more comers in. And so you're going to see different sorts of things. It's a test case of something that's really worked well. Chris, would you like to see JRPGs spread the field a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. I think a big hang up, although to be fair, like turn-based really is the main wall for me. Not necessarily because I don't understand. Like I've played a decent amount of turn-based games. It's just like the overall preference of what I want to do in a video game is generally leans more towards kind of the opposite. But I think Expedition does a really great job in balancing that. I think that's a great style, and it does kind of beg the question. It's like, yeah, man, like why are all of these stuck in Japan? Like I get a franchise, like Persona. It's like, okay, but let's get out of here. Like let's do other things, like even or just like definitely more active time stuff. I think would benefit. Not necessarily that other established RPGs should copy Expedition. I don't necessarily think that that's the answer. But if anybody's trying to jump into this space, I think you have a clear formula of what to do, or at the very least, like a foundation from where to grow from, because that does a lot of heavy lifting for people. Like it's that feeling of being relevant to the combat that you're experiencing, as opposed to being kind of feeling a little bit consequential. And so, would I want to see a shift? I don't know. I think it's weird asking people like me, like where JRPG should go, because I wouldn't want it to I wouldn't want an entire genre to cater to me, because it's clearly not generally for me. It would kind of be like, oh, I wish Baldur's Gate, the next Baldur's Gate should be action and should just be like real time. And I'm just like, I don't know if that's what's best for that. But definitely the settings could be a little bit more varied than they currently are, I think.
Erg the Wizard wrote in and said, hello, gentlemen. With the Switch 2 launch just days away, I'm looking forward to some fresh, brand new portable gaming. With that in mind, what can we realistically expect from PlayStation's rumored return to the handheld scene? Will it just be a portable PS5? That would be pretty cool, no doubt. Or we'll do something completely different. Dual screens, rear touchpads again, maybe some other gimmick altogether. Well, we'll get you rushing out day one to secure the next PlayStation Portable. I mean, it's funny because in the Q&A this month on Patreon for our $10 and up patrons, someone had asked a similar question of like, he basically asked, like, are the days of the dedicated handheld as we understood them over now? And it's like, yes, like the idea that anyone but a boutique outfit would release a unique portable SKU and then do things to mystify it even further, like a Vita with like a back touchpad and gyros and stuff. It's like, no way. Like those days are done. And is it unfortunate? Yeah, but not really. Like the more technology tends to unify towards these really nice handheld devices, whether we have these iPhones and all the rest, and they're expensive, but it's like, actually, we can have the best of both worlds now in a handheld form. Whether it's streaming locally or from a cloud, or whether it's playing natively, my assumption is that like we're going to get a portable PS6 as an option. And how that works and how much that is I don't know. But that seems to be what the rumors indicate, right? I mean, maybe you would get a portable PS5, but this was argued to me. I don't know if it was Moore's Law or someone was on the show. It's like, you could do that, but why? If you could just do it all with the next system and have it going day and date Switch-like, but having multiple, because it's not going to be a thing you dock, but will it be a thing that natively reads your PS5 or that offloads some processing from a cloud? And I don't know. But I am interested in knowing what you guys think of this, but also like what your feelings are on Switch 2, Dustin. It's days away. I saw what's that UK retailer Game that they announced that they're like canceling they don't have like enough stock. And I'm like, dude, you're doing this like 7 days before it comes out or whatever. It's wild to do that to people, but guess you got to do what you got to do. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, getting into the PlayStation Portable or whatever this new handheld would be, I think you're right that it would be better to make it in line with whatever the next console is. We'll call it PlayStation 6. I could see a situation where it's almost like an Xbox Series X and S situation where games are designed for like, here's the full fat experience on PlayStation 6. We have this different SKU or for the handheld that runs at a much lower resolution. Maybe lower some of the other features like ray tracing or something like that. And so it can run on both, because I think that's the main appeal to people now about having a handheld, is that it can play on a TV then it comes with you on the go. I mean, that's what's big about, well, it's not big for everybody on Switch, but it's one of the most appealing things about Switch. It's like you dock it on your TV, you play, going on a trip, the same game comes with you, your save, all of that. It's all unified. And I think that would probably be the main priority of a PlayStation handheld. And we've talked before about how games are much more scalable now than they were before. So it would really have to come into like playing the game at a lower resolution with respecking the game to run on a handheld. I'm wondering how that, like, you don't want to have a situation where your handheld holds back the main console, but I'm not sure how that will work. But either way, it will definitely, the games I think have to go from one to the other. And like you said too, the days of a bespoke on its own system or handheld where the games are just for that are totally over.
Yeah, I mean, if the leader in the space, Nintendo, isn't doing it and hasn't done it now for, let's say, because 3DS was still going after Switch came out, but let's say like 6 years or whatever, no one's going to do it. And I think technologies have gotten to a point where like we can, Game Boy and NES existed parallel to each other for a reason. Game Boy Advance and GameCube and DS and Wii and PSP and PS2 and 3 and Vita and PS3, and like, because we couldn't do what is becoming more attainable. And I also think from a publishing and development standpoint, you heard Shuhei talk about this in our interview recently. You've heard Nintendo opine about this over time. It's like, we finally figured out we could just put all of our development resources into one pipeline. and we've always been splitting them up, especially Nintendo since 1989 was splitting their resources. You don't have to do that anymore.
Right.
All win. Everyone wins, in my opinion, in this new circumstance.
And then,
oh, good, please.
I was just gonna say, as far as Switch 2, because you asked about that as well. I'm excited, but it's a pretty muted excitement. When it comes out, the only thing I really want to play is Mario Kart, and it's not
Mario Fart
World. And the Switch was so interesting at the time in 2017 because we'd never seen anything quite like that. And so that kind of magic is gone now. So I think it's I expect to interact with my Switch 2 the same way I've interacted with my Switch 1, which is a lot of great exclusive games, maybe a few indies here and there, but I'm mainly just there for Mario Kart. And while Mario Kart World looks awesome and significantly a big upstep from the last game, and I love Mario Kart. I think it's great, but I'm not like thinking every night about how awesome it's going to be to play Mario Kart World. I'm really interested in that Donkey Kong game too. So launch is going to be a little bit muted, but it'll be, as you just said, I was sleeping over in Brad's room.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be at Brad's place when Switch 2 comes out. So we're going to play Mario Kart World together. So it'll be a nice, it's like cute. When you were kids, new console comes out. So I think we're streaming that too. So look forward to it.
So you're not going to have yours, but you'll have his, I guess.
Brad. So I ordered one to my house, but then Brad has another one coming to his house when we didn't know what was going on. He's like, "Do you want that one?"
Wow. That's 6 of 1 really. And you can just sell him or send him the unopened one.
Well, he's picking up one from Best Buy for the launch night. The second one is coming to his house. So I'm going to take that one. And then the one that's coming to my house, unless somebody locally wants it, I'm just going to return it.
Yeah. Smart. It doesn't, I said this on a recent show. I don't know what show it was where I was like, it doesn't feel like a console's coming out. I do think that it's the first piece of hardware to launch into the new reality, the post-media, truly post-media reality for video games. So we'll see how it does. I think it's going to do great, at least in the immediacy. I don't know if it's going to have I don't know. It's betting against Nintendo is crazy. Chris, what are your thoughts here on both the portable future of PlayStation and, of course, the Switch 2, if you're interested?
Well, I mean, honestly, I think I agree with a lot of what you guys said. I think I do. And dude, like, I understand like what he's saying here. It's like, do you think we'll have dual screens? And it's like, no. the era of like creative innovation on that front is kind of over. Like, risk taking is not ideal now. I think safety is key. I also think people just kind of want they want familiarity and flexibility, I think, more than anything right now. And so I think like having devices that talk to each other, that kind of speak to one another in the way that Steam Deck does with a PC and in the way that even Portal does, although albeit not natively, like I think that's the future for handhelds. And I do think handhelds are going to be better for it. Like personally, I liked handhelds always. Like there were always some games that I enjoyed on the, like, I mean, talking about like, there's a weirdly good Lilo and Stitch game on Game Boy Advance from like, I know that movie's in the news, but like I remember playing the shit out of that. It was like a side scroller kind of Contra like shooter. It wasn't nearly as hard, obviously, but like there's a lot of like smaller games from those machines that I liked. Obviously, I talk about PSP a lot with like Wipeout Pure and that weird reskin of Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2 that was only there. That was so fascinating. But like I always kind of felt, even with PSP, although that was like the real first time that I felt like there was like a very lack of a very closeness in between the main generation and the handhelds. I always felt like I was playing like in a reasonably gimped version of the thing that like I would have much preferred to be playing. Like a lot of your games on it on those machines, Game Boy Advance, I love it. But it would if I was to choose between, hey, do you want to keep your PS2 or your Game Boy Advance? Like that Game Boy Advance was going in the garbage like so quick. It's crazy. Like if I had to choose. And so I think now that these machines are in a space where they can just act as like a secondary kind of avenue to the main thing, it's a lot more appealing. And it's what opened my eyes to to handhelds again, after a long time of kind of writing them off as like kind of just that's not where the good stuff is. And I think, yeah, innovations like dual screens and like back touchpads, like they were fun novelties, but I think ultimately, realistically, it's kind of like curved TVs or like 3D TVs. Like we know the flat square is fine. We don't really need to innovate anymore. Like we found something that works. We don't need a back touchpad. We don't need dual screens. I mean, it didn't work for the Wii U. That much is certain. So that doesn't translate to a home console, clearly. And I think ultimately we're in a good space. I'm actually probably more excited than I have been in a while for like future hardware, because knowing that this is something that is brewing both at Microsoft and Sony is like, that's a tantalizing place. I don't know. This is very interesting compared to the majority of even the PS4 and Xbox One life cycle, which was just like, we're getting an interstitial console that's slightly more powerful. It's like, it's not nearly as captivating to me as the prospect of being able to take my library fucking anywhere that I want to go. Like that's like a game changing thing. Like I remember I used to bring my console on the plane with me, you know, and to think that I won't have to do that is pretty. That's a tantalizing future. As for the Switch 2, like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like I'm kind of not. I kind of forgot that it was even happening, to be honest with you. And I do think there is, we talked about a little bit earlier that the Switch 1 was so big because the novelty was there. And that novelty is gone in some sense. I think it's still going to do extraordinarily well, but I don't think it's going to hit the ceiling that the Switch 1 did.
Initially, it's going to do great. Maybe even the biggest release ever for a console, but I don't know. They have to have games beyond this. Like, you're going to get your people.
Yeah. There's just too many people like me, I think. And I've spoken a lot of people, a lot of my friends are kind of in a similar boat where it's like, yeah, we got the Switch 1 because it was like an innovative piece of tech. It was interesting. I remember buying it, like ordering it day one. I was just like, I got to have this thing. It's interesting. Like to be able to dock. No one's ever, that wasn't a thing. And as time has gone on, I realize how little I use it. And a lot of my friends are like that, where it's just like, yeah, they have Switches. In some instances, they have two. But they're not really sold on the new one because they understand their relationship with the existing thing that they got off of the excitement of having new technology. And they're not really in on it. At least not on day one. I'm sure like eventually, like I think I'll have a Switch 2 at some point. But yeah, it's definitely not in the same, it's not releasing into the same ecosystem, both reputationally, from a media standpoint, from an economic standpoint, and obviously from a novelty standpoint, which is, I think, pretty key to these things. I think it's the reason why PS2 was as huge as it was, because that DVD thing was like so, like that's such a good value, and that's so novel to be able to do that, especially at that time where DVDs were huge. So yeah, I think it's just missing that.
Yeah, Micah's getting one, so I'll have access to one, and I'm sure we'll have further thoughts on it. Two thoughts as we exit is, one, it's cool to finally see the reciprocity in console gaming going to handheld, because handheld going to console is so old. Like when Super Game Boy came out, I was so fucking excited. It was so good on Super Nintendo. It was for people that don't know, it was a cartridge you put into your Super Nintendo, and then you could put your Game Boy games into your Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
And then of course the Game Boy player on GameCube was like fucking dope. I loved that thing. And PSP, remember you could hook your PSP up to a TV? So like everything always went in one way, but it never went the other way, obviously, for many obvious reasons. And now it's finally going in the other direction. And that I think is really exciting. The other thing is that because it doesn't feel like a console's coming out, I think it's because we're in our silos now more than ever, because we don't congregate around media like we used to, or at least I did. I mean, I'm sure, I don't know about you, Chris, but I'm sure Dustin can relate. It's like going to IGN every day, going to whatever website every day, just reading and seeing. And so in that old ecosystem, you would see months, weeks, months, days of just constant Switch 2 coverage, and it would be on your mind. But since we're all in our little micro communities now, for the most part, it's about what your people are talking about, and it's like not around me at all. So it's just out of sight, out of mind. I'm like not even thinking about it. So I'm sure the excitement is heavy somewhere, but it's not in my field of vision.
It's not as universal, and it doesn't have as big of a kind of a. It doesn't have as big of like splash damage, I guess. You know?
Right. Agreed. Jay McGraw wrote in, said, "Hey, DCC, What's the consensus on watching a playthrough of a game as a way of catching up on a series before a sequel comes out, i.e. watching a playthrough of Death Stranding before DS2 comes out? I ask as someone that has very limited time to play games due to a wife and 3 young kids at home, but have no restrictions while at work to watch YouTube videos as I do my other tasks, but I'm unable to actually play the games. Given enough time, I know I'd love to replay the full game before the sequel, but given the time constraints, I often find it's only the only real option I have if I want to catch up on any story or gameplay beats that I have forgotten. Thanks for the continuously great LSM content. Easily the best $5 I spend in any month. I'll hang up and listen from my closed garage while I let the car exhaust slowly fill my lungs. Jay, that's extreme. You have 3 children. And a wife, which based on the record of the show, you might get divorced from because of us. So keep an eye out for that. I have no problem with this personally, especially if you've already played the game. People that are knockback fans, our retro and nostalgia podcast that I do with my brother, that's on like a semi-hiatus. We're doing like 1 episode every so often now. We played we did the Uncharted games 1, 2, and 3, and then 4 and Lost Legacy over however much time we did it. And I have beaten Uncharted 1, 2, and 3. I've platinumed all 3 of them on PS3 and PS4, which requires 2 playthroughs each. So I've beaten them all at least 4 times. And we wanted to do them, and I'm like, I'm not playing these again. And I watched playthrough videos of them. Like I would not even watch all of them. I'd scroll through and like, oh yeah, okay, and like take notes. And I didn't feel guilty about that. And we talked about it on the show when we were recording. I'm like, dude, I've played the shit out of these games. I played these games more than a lot of other people. I'm not playing them again. I don't need to do that. But I did need to brush up on what happened in order to fully understand the scope of the game. Since you've played Death Stranding, I don't really see any problem with it. But even if you didn't, it's really up to you. I would feel like if I didn't play a game and then caught up on things, that would be spoiling the experience. And I'd rather just not experience it all. But if you have experienced something already and then need to be prodded, like at IGN, we used to do the whatever in 5 minutes, Doom in 5 minutes, and it would catch you up for the next game. It's like that kind of shit's really useful. And it is a time saver. And obviously you have massive time constraints in your life because you have 3 kids and a wife, even though you're about to kill yourself, you say. Chris, what are your thoughts here on watching playthrough of, say, Death Stranding before Death Stranding 2 comes out? Is this a more judicious use of time for perhaps a Dustin Furman to explore?
I think it's perfectly fine. I have no issue with it. I used to do this all the time. Like when there were games that I just didn't feel like I had the time to do or play through entirely. Like I've watched so many, especially back in the day, I watched so many video game the movies. Like there were these YouTube videos that would like splice together cutscenes and specific like gameplay, like narrative specific gameplay moments into just something that you could watch. And I liked it because these were games that I liked the story and I wanted to experience them again, but I didn't necessarily feel like dedicating the time or like I had to do other things while I was feeling like I wanted to ingratiate myself in that. And I think that's totally valid. I think it does get a little bit dicey if you haven't played previous games, but I don't know, it's kind of one of those things where it depends on the breadth of work before you. Like, I think it's worth playing Death Stranding 1 before playing Death Stranding 2. And I think you're missing something if you don't. But if it's like, I don't know, Yakuza 9 or something, and you want to, you know what I mean? If there's like 8 whole games before that you're just, you're not going to get to, like, I think I'm a little bit more lenient with that stuff. Just on the sheer like time sink that would require, and it's just like it's ridiculous to ask of anybody. So I think it varies, but generally speaking, if you've played the game, I have no issue with watching a playthrough. I kind of did the same thing with Death Stranding, honestly. Like I jumped into Death Stranding a little bit. I think early this month. Because mainly because I wanted to reacquaint myself with like the control scheme and like the gameplay systems and how it feels, just so I had some kind of primer. But once I got a feel for it, it's like, okay, I know how this feels. And then I kind of jumped into like an explainer or like a recap kind of thing because I had already played Death Stranding. And I think that's fine.
I want to be clear too that I don't care what you do. I would just recommend not doing it for games that you didn't play because the foundation of the game is experiencing it, so you're ruining it for yourself. That's
especially with Death Stranding. I think actually Death Stranding is more experiential than it is narrative. In like my opinion, like there's definitely a story there, and it's worth experiencing. But Death Stranding was special for me because of the gameplay experience, and because of placing something onto a mountain that was like useful to other people, and like seeing people interact with you in that way, and just the feeling of like climbing a mountain and descending it, and then the music kicks in. Like that's like I don't know if that would I don't even know if that would be included in a video game, the movie style video, because it's not technically a narrative beat. Nothing's happening, but it's experiential, and that's a lot of what's special about Death Stranding 1 to me, was that like when the music kicks in and it's kind of like solemn and and like very empty feeling, and it's like there's something there that I don't think you'll get from a narrative recap. But if you've played it already, I think it's totally valid. I agree with you, Colin.
Anything you want to add, Dustin, before we move on?
I wish I had 15 minutes to fill here, but I really don't have anything to add. I think that you guys have said. So
hit me with some of that good shit. No, nothing.
Problem.
Right. Fair enough.
Well, no problem with watching watching a replay. I almost did that for Death Stranding, but I have time right now as far as releases, other than Mario Kart and stuff and Switch 2. But so yeah, no problem. I've done that many times. Do it, feel guilt-free, and sin no more.
All right. Killwin wrote in, said, "Hey, CDC, have you guys heard about the resurgence of Battlefront 2? It suddenly gained a huge influx of players recently. I myself have even gotten back into it, and it's so fun. It runs great. It looks amazing. It's nearly 10 years old as well, I think. Does EA have an opportunity here? Battlefront 3, DLC? I eagerly await your thoughts while Daddy Vader force chokes me and calls me a naughty Gungan. All consensual, of course." Killwin, thank you for writing in. I've been curious about the story. I did look up some stuff. So on SteamDB, Battlefront 2 is at an all-time high from their max reporting, which began back in the summer of 2020. The game obviously came out in 2017 and almost certainly had, it's 121,000 all-time peak, 7.6 years ago. You were saying it's almost a decade old. It came out, as I recall, in the fall of 2017, so it's going to be 8 years old this fall. It's an old game, and it's the last Battlefront game, and it has an all-time peak of 3 days ago since 2020 of 18,000 people. And all the time leading up to that, it never got higher than a few thousand here and there. So
there's
people,
go ahead. A little asterisk to that, though, because I know you'll get a comment.
Please.
It did not launch on Steam.
Oh, okay.
And I think they also gave it away on the Epic Game Store. So
this would have been when EA was still doing their proprietary shit too.
Yeah. So the Steam numbers, it's not to undercut it, because I'm sure that there are many players on either Epic Games or on console or whatever that are coming back to the game as well. But just as a note for that commenter that wants to say, actually,
well, I appreciate that. But what I was also going to say was I just don't think the numbers are sufficient to. It's interesting. I'm sure they had meetings about it and they're wondering, and they're talking about something. But a Battlefront 3 maybe would be an interesting idea, big investment, and it's got to pay off. I don't think Battlefront 2 necessarily paid off for them. I did play the campaign for Battlefront 2 and it was bad. It was like really not good. It was disappointing. But I know that's not what people are going there for. And that was obviously a result of people wanting a campaign in Battlefront 1 or the revived Battlefront on PS4, which was fucking huge. Remember how big that game was?
Yeah.
That game was huge. Many millions copies sold. So, and because that was when Star Wars was still very exciting to many people, because it was still the return and the resurgence, the post-Lucas era. It was all unknown. I feel like, I'm pretty sure Battlefront 1 came out before Episode 7, if I recall.
I think you're right, yeah. It was, well, when was
Battlefront?
Because I remember 2015. I remember playing the beta in 2015.
Yeah, and that's the year that Episode 7 came out in 2015.
Yeah. So it was around that time. There was a lot of hype. And people were good. People were pretty high on that movie, actually.
Yeah, and I was going to say, things were good with Episode 7 into Rogue One. Like, people were feeling good. So it launched into a different Star Wars era than it is now. Although there's still a massive fan base of Star Wars. Like, don't get it twisted. But I think it's a little bit more dangerous to launch anything big budget in the Star Wars universe. Like, you know what game I was thinking of? Not that this would be big budget, but it has been in development for like 5 years. Is Quantic Dream's Star Wars game. It's like, man, I wonder if you guys could go back and have redone that deal if you would have maybe done something else, because this is coming out at a bad time. And if it comes out at all, I mean, we haven't really even heard anything about it, but I assume it's going to come out. Yeah. So I have noticed this. I have taken note of it. I don't know that they're going to do any more support of it. I don't think that the support is even getting 10, 20, 30, 40. Let's assume across consoles, Epic, you get 40 or 50,000 concurrents. I mean, that's not going to do it. I hate to say that, but that's awesome for an old game. And you sustaining it for a long period of time, I convinced them to do some DLC or something, but they're not going to greenlight a game based on that. And I think that, as we were noting earlier in the show, the licensing stuff is prohibitive. EA probably made a lot of money on Battlefront 1 especially, but could have made a lot more if it wasn't Battlefront. So, Dustin, have you taken note of these trends recently, and what do you make of them?
Yeah, it's interesting, and it's kind of made me want to go back and play it, since I think I got the Epic Game Store free version, and I think it was also free on PlayStation Plus at one point. So this game obviously had so many problems at launch and Star Wars was in a mixed place for me at the time. So I've never really gotten into it, but I was watching, there's a YouTuber that I like called Jack Frags, who does a lot of like multiplayer first, shooter games. And I was watching a video of him playing it this morning. I was like, man, this actually looks like, this looks fun. A nice little battlefield experience. Got Luke running around, Star Wars, old school Star Wars stuff, along with, I think you can play in each era. So there's the Republic, the Rebel era, and then the Resistance. For the Resistance. The Resistance, yeah. So I'd like to go back to it, but I don't think they're probably interested in doing Battlefront 3. This is as cool as it is, and I don't want to diminish it, the fact that people are coming back and having a great time. It's a passing fad.
Yeah, I would assume so.
It'll be gone again soon. So it's unfortunate, but I think it would be fun. Maybe I'll see if the boys want to hop in, because I think we basically all have it for free at this point.
Chris, do you want to go force choke people in Battlefront 2?
I did think about it, because I remember playing the first one. At the very least, I know I played the beta of the first one, and I liked it. Like it played really well. I enjoyed it. But I don't know. Maybe I am kind of the mind that, I don't know. Am I gonna start this up again, and then by the time I really get into it, everybody's left it behind already?
Right.
Because there's a lot of games. There's a lot of games, a lot of multiplayer games, and the sad thing about multiplayer games is that they are somewhat ephemeral. And even if you could play them still, they would be like laden with cheaters or hackers. It's true of like a lot of the old Call of Duty games that people like to play still. But you play Modern Warfare 2 today, go ahead and try to play Modern Warfare 2 right now, like the original. You'll have a bewildering experience, to say the least. But yeah, I don't know. It's piqued my curiosity. I have thought about it, but I also don't remember exactly if I own Battlefront 2 and if I have ever played it. Like my memories of Battlefront and Battlefront 2 look so similar. Like I can't distinguish between them or remember. I remember that there was a big loot box controversy, or there was like a microtransactions controversy.
It was, there was like, they like really went out of control, and I think it rolled shit back.
Yeah,
because it required like insane amounts of playtime to equate to the money you could buy or whatever.
Yeah, it was something like that. And I just remember, I think I own it. I just don't. I don't know if it's on Origin. I don't know if it's on PC. I don't know if it's on PlayStation. I don't know if it's on. I really don't know where I have it. So that alone is kind of just like, I'll probably skip it. But I am happy to see that it's having a little resurgence, because from what I remember, a lot of the complaints about that game really were the fact that it just kind of launched a little bit broken, and the microtransactions were egregious. And to know that both of those issues have more or less been, ameliorated, I think a lot of people enjoyed that game for like the base gameplay and for what it offered from that perspective. So I'll think about it, but I'm kind of playing. I'm toying around with playing a lot right now. So
Zimphanis has the final inquiry. He writes in and says, Colin, it's time to ask again. When are you really going to try a Souls game? I recently played through the Castlevania collection, and the From Souls games are literally 3D Castlevanias. I didn't get to play most of those games growing up, but the amount of influence those games have on the Souls series was astonishing to me. I'm also a few hours into Expedition 33, which is not really in my wheelhouse, but the Souls influences are all over that game. From the weapon system to resting at flags. I know you said they're too difficult, but you could start with Demon Souls Remastered. It's by far the easiest, and I'm sure any fan will tell you once they click, they really click. I just had hernia surgery a few hours before posting this, so I'm getting a few days of video game marathoning as a busy dad. Can't wait. I'll hang up and listen. Thank you for writing in. Where does this idea come from that I've not tried Souls games? Like, I was thinking about this in preparation for the show. It's like, I would posit that I've spent 100 hours playing Souls games, including 50 hours alone, at least with Bloodborne. I played Elden Ring for probably 20 hours. I played Dark Souls multiple times I never beat it. I got anywhere close, but like restarted and tried multiple times. Demon Souls, when it came out, I played Neo twice, tried it, including probably 10, 15, 20 hours of that. I've tried.
No, but he's asking, when are you really going
to try?
When
am I right.
Because if you don't like it, it means you haven't really tried.
The one that I really am interested, the one that I was disappointed that I didn't connect. Neo was really fucking hard, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I am surprised how far I got in it, which was not very far, but like far. And I was like, and I said recently I got to the boss where it's like a snake kind of worm thing in a room. I was like, fuck this. I don't even know what the fuck I'm supposed to do here. So, because I want to like them. And that was the one because I really loved the setting and like the story, and I thought it was really cool. So that was the one I really wanted to like the most, and which is why I tried it again. Bloodborne, I got almost to the end of Bloodborne, and then I stopped playing for a few weeks, and then I couldn't play it anymore. Like to me, it's just one of those games where I was like, damn, dude, I really fucked up here because I got distracted by something else. And it's not the kind of game, at least for me, like I can't go back because you're so deep into the game. So you're really far along in the skill arc, and then you degrade, and it's very hard to jump back in. So that's the reason why I never actually fully beat it. But you can look at my trophies. I mean, I got really far in the game, and I liked it. And that game spoke to me most of being Castlevania, actually, of all of them, by far.
Oh yeah, Bloodborne.
Yeah, sure. But as far as like, I don't see the Castlevania influence on. I just don't understand where a game being hard doesn't make it a Souls game. Right. The Castlevania games are very difficult, but they're not Souls games. There are Souls-like 2D games. I think Blasphemous is a good example of that. Even a game like Dead Cells. But not Castlevania. So I don't really see that influence. And Expedition 33, I understand what people are saying, but I don't think it's that hard. And now some people would say, I'm playing on normal, whatever normal difficulty is, but it's like people would say, oh, then you can play a Souls game. And I'm like, no, there's some similarity between them. You're dodging, I guess, but it's like a game of memory. Like Expedition 33 is like a very limited game of memory. Do you guys play that when you were kids? You like turn over the cards and you like match them together and shit.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, yeah, all right, this boss has 5 attacks. Often when I'm dying against a boss and I know I'm not going to win, you know how you can bring in your backup crew or whatever. I do that just to learn more and get more information. Even though I know I'm not going to make it through, it's like, I need more information. And then you slowly just learn how to play it. And I understand people say the same about Souls games, but it's not the same, because no matter how many times you play Expedition 33, you play boss X, he's going to attack with the same 5 things, the same 5 ways every time. The timing will be the same. The situation will be the same, but not in a Souls game, not in an active action game. There's like all sorts of dynamics that are different. Your position's different. The way what you're like you could be attacking, you could be defending, like it's because it's not turn-based. So they're totally different games for me to wrap my mind around. I understand, and I know that they've talked about in Expedition 33 that the team's saying like they were inspired by Sekiro and other stuff, and I get it, but it's not that deep. It's button prompts. You're dodging. So I appreciate the gusto, but I feel like I have given Souls games a good opportunity, and I don't really see the game between Castlevania and Souls games.
I think people have this this indicates if like somebody doesn't like something that they really like, they just kind of insist that you just you haven't really given it a fair shot. And sometimes that's true. But like I think generally sometimes I think you've played enough to kind of know where you're gonna land.
I'm impatient. I'm an impatient player of games. I don't want to play a game. Like I don't know how people don't know that about me at this point. I like difficult games, mostly in 2D, and I don't mind grinding and hitting my head against the wall from time to time. But I find the level of difficulty in Souls games I play to be unforgiving to the point of not fun, and that's just me. Yeah. I don't give a shit if you like them or not. It's great. I always ogle the fucking Elden Ring completion data where it's like, damn, dude, there are like some serious people out there that are like way more than I thought willing to really play a game like this, but it's not me. What I was going to say was that the Souls game that I think about the most about playing is Lies of P. Just because that's
what I was going to say.
Yeah, like I don't know about the gameplay or anything, but stylistically and like world wise, and it seems the most interesting. So maybe I'll try that one day, but I would imagine there's a good chance I would have washed out of that if I played it. So
yeah, I think that's probably the one that's most suited to you in some way because it's got the most like direct narrative of any of these games that I've played or at least from like my experience, where it's just kind of, well, I guess Neo's probably like a little bit more specific too. But yeah, Lies of P, I'm kind of in the same boat as you, like where I appreciate them a little bit more, like, and I actively like them a little bit more than you do, I think. But I do inevitably get to a point where like I do like the struggle of like, this is difficult and then overcoming it. But the games are so long that like eventually I do hit a point where like the dopamine stops coming. Like when I beat a boss, it begins to feel like nothing, and then I just kind of fall off of it, because if I'm not getting enjoyment out of it, then it's just like I put 175 hours into Elden Ring base and the DLC, and I haven't beaten either of them because I get to a point where like I die like 15 times to a boss, and then I win, and then I don't feel joy. Like I don't feel like
you're just exhausted.
A victory. I'm just kind of like, okay, it's another one of these. I feel like I have to like recharge between those games, and even then, like, I think Sekiro is probably the one that I'm more likely to play over and over again, because it's a lot more linear, and it's a lot less. I don't know. There's something. I guess it's less about like class building and more about like, these are your tools, go. It feels more like an NES kind of game, like in that sense, like an old school, like less build crafty, more direct. Like, this is your weapon. Play the game how we demand you to. It's kind of like Doom Eternal in that sense, where it's like there's really one way to play that game, and I like that. But I get it.
Anything you want to add, Dustin? The Souls fans, the most annoying fans possibly in all video games.
Are they the most annoying? Maybe some of them are, but no, I think that you've put your time in. So I think that in some ways it is, I think for the audience, surprising, because they hear things you like about other games and how present they are in Souls games. But I could still understand the connect not happening. I think you were mentioning about the pattern recognition and how it's different because of placement. I feel like in some ways Elden Ring and Souls games in general are remarkably consistent, that once you know how to beat a boss, you can, regardless of the changing of placement or the dodging or whatever, you can beat them very consistently. Like if you know, it's like, okay, the boss has these 4 moves, and towards the end of the fight, he will maybe do one of these 2 moves. And once you know the pattern of them, you, for the most part, are going to be able to beat it. There's definitely more variability.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I understand that point, but it's active. It's literally not just presenting, being like, all right, the enemy's about to attack. All you have to do is dodge. Right? It's not like movement. It's not proximity. There's nothing else to it in Expedition 33, right? I'm not saying it's not hard. It is. There are times where I'm like, I'm getting the shit kicked out of me by this boss. Like I don't have the rhythm right. I'm missing something. But it's nowhere near as frustrating to me as those other games, because it's nowhere. It's just inherently not as hard. It's just you can't possibly describe those two things as equally hard.
I would argue it's it's really just about the presentation. Like if they put a button prompt on there, you know, it would be the same experience. I don't know. I feel like the animations and the telegraphing are the button prompts. Spiritual. It's kind of like how I feel about like the dice rolls and something like Baldur's Gate being like, oh, this is your dice roll and these determine your stats. I would argue that like that happens damn near like every second in real life. If you're playing like an active, like if you're playing like a first person shooter, like that dice roll is happening constantly. And it's really just a matter of like whether or not it's displayed for you in a more specific way. Like, I don't know. I think, I don't know. Do you feel like Dustin, him bringing up Demon's Souls Remastered as the easiest is right? Because I kind of feel like, I feel like Elden Ring is like by far the easiest.
I think that to fully beat Demon's Souls is easier. I think some of the end...
That makes sense.
I don't know. It's hard to say because Elden Ring really does kind of, I don't want to say it guides you, but if you are stuck in Elden Ring, you can go grind or do something else, you know what I mean, for a bit and come back and beat it. You have less of that in Demon's Souls. I think Demon's Souls overall is easier and probably the easiest of the Souls games, but I don't know. It kind of depends on your experience as a player, I would say. But for me, Demon's Souls was for sure the easiest. But I want to conclude on this, Colin. I just want to say you have no taste, and that's the problem. You know, that's usually what I've heard from you. I learned it from watching.
That's interesting.
Some might
It's interesting
say.
that you say that.
Yeah,
you're telling me this for the first time. It is a matter of. I guess it is a matter of just taste and. This is not a new issue for me. This goes all the way back to Demon's Souls on PS3. So that's what, 2009? So and I wasn't a Kingsfield person or anything like that. So that was really the first time I ever really experienced something like that. And that's what Shuhei says when he played it. He's like, this is fucking ridiculous. You know, that's why they didn't publish it here. But there was something people like us were missing for sure.
I didn't like it when I first played it. I hated it when I played Demon's Souls on PS3 for the first time. Did not get it. Did not click for me. Didn't click for me with Dark Souls. Didn't click for me for Dark Souls 2, but it was Bloodborne.
Bloodborne, yeah. Bloodborne was the one I enjoyed the most as well, but I really think a lot of it had to do with that really dope Gothic setting that did remind, especially that opening sequence, which I played it so many times at this point that you could just see it. It's like, it looks like Castlevania. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And one day they will do a Bloodborne 2, you imagine, and it's going to people are going to go nuts.
Yeah, that'll be a day.
But first,
that's like that's quickly approaching like Half-Life 3 kind of territory. You know what I mean? Like, when is it going to happen? Like, will it?
It's 10 years old.
Like, when that game comes out, it's going to be like a fucking big deal.
Yeah,
like,
definitely. I definitely will be. There's no doubt.
And the fact that game is the one that you like the most and that you've gone the furthest in is a testament to how important art design is. Like, I will beat that drum forever. Like, dude, art design will carry somebody through a game that they otherwise would never play. Like, bar none.
Shall we go, my boys? It's time.
Yeah.
Let's go around the horn and say goodbye to everyone, because that's all we have for this episode of Sacred Symbols, a PlayStation podcast. Chris, goodbye to you. Be well. Any plans for today?
Nah, it's a chill day. This is a laundry day, I think. I'm at the point where it's just like I've got like maybe 1 or 2 days left of any. I'm procrastinating on laundry for a little bit, so that's gonna be the rest of my day, probably because the machines in our building suck. So like it's the dryer always like, all right, there's gonna be two cycles for this one load because it never dries quite enough, depending on what's in there. Jeans, forget about it. That's like it's like 7.
Got to clean the filter. What are they? That little the captured thing with the lint.
Oh, the filter. Yeah.
Dustin, goodbye to you. Be well.
Goodbye.
Any plans?
No plans tonight. I'm going to try to take it easy. During the course of this podcast, I feel like I might be getting sick.
Oh,
probably one of those filthy middle schoolers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
At Cedar Point.
Yeah, probably.
You know, they're there on their school trip. They're acting fucking insane.
Acting the
in
fool.
Line. It's like, why? Yeah. Why you got to act fucking crazy all the time? Just chill out.
Yeah.
Just take it easy.
Yeah, I wasn't
screaming.
Dancing. I can't relate to that because I was a middle schooler once and I wasn't crazy.
Yeah. Me neither. I wasn't nuts. I wasn't doing stupid shit in line at a park.
Yeah, I think it depended on who I was with. I think that determined the rambunctious nature of it.
Well, rest up, little boy, and we'll wish you the very best. Yeah, no plans for me either. It's been rainy like for a while, like for a week, and I think it's going to continue. But I'll bring the dogs for a walk. It seems like it took a break today, and then just relax, hang out, play some Shrek DLC for Powerwash Simulator. I might be the only person in the world that's played that's not seen Shrek.
You certainly are.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't even bet against that.
Well, fair enough. Well, my friends, I appreciate it. That was a fun episode of the show. A briefer one, but not too much news to go through this week. Be more robust next week, perhaps. Can't make any guarantees. But I appreciate all of you being there for us, supporting us over on Patreon, patreon.com/laststandmedia, listening to us on free feeds, leaving us nice reviews, doing all that stuff. It matters a great deal to us. Of course, laststandmedia.store for merch as well. Stickers, shirts, sweatshirts, t-shirts, hats, and more. And I think that's it. We'll see you next time. Until then, goodbye.
See ya.
Take care, guys.
Sacred Symbols, a PlayStation podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Colin's Last Stand LLC, and is proudly recorded in the USA. The show is conceived by, is written by, and is directed by me, Colin Moriarty. My co-hosts are Chris Raygun Maldonado and Dustin Furman. The show is produced by executive producer Dustin Furman. All of Last Stand's theme music is by my best friend, Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand's shows, including Sacred Symbols, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer level on Patreon, our highest tier, and we're grateful for your thoughtful and kind contributions to our independent endeavor. Thank you.